Chapter 4080. The combat strength displayed by the Netherworld race cultivator was simply despairing, but Lin Feng's reputation was not undeserved. In the face of the Netherworld race cultivator's attack, Lin Feng used the heaven patching technique to borrow another opportunity from the heavens. Whoosh! There was a flash of light, and Lin Feng disappeared from where he stood. The attack of the Netherworld clan cultivator hit nothing but air. Lin Feng appeared 300 meters away and quickly flew in the direction of the ancient starship Xianyuan. The Netherworld race cultivator was simply too terrifying. So Lin Feng had no intention of fighting to the death with the Netherworld race cultivator. This was because that was purely an act of seeking death. Seeing Lin Feng escape, the Netherworld race cultivator sneered and said, "Kid, you think you can escape? You're too naive." The Netherworld race cultivator quickly chased after Lin Feng. Lin Feng's speed was fast enough, like a bolt of lightning. However, the Netherworld race cultivator was also very fast. After all, his cultivation realm was simply too high, and the distance between the two sides was gradually closing. The Netherworld race cultivator said sinisterly, "Kid, it's really shocking that you can have such speed with your cultivation. Unfortunately, you met me today. No matter how fast you are, I'm afraid you won't be able to escape death today." As soon as he finished speaking, the Netherworld race cultivator sped up again. This guy seemed to be very good at speed. The distance between the two sides was getting closer and closer. This situation was naturally extremely bad. If the Netherworld race cultivator caught up to him, it would definitely be a disaster for Lin Feng. Lin Feng's face was very gloomy. He lowered his head and looked at the bell in his hand. Then, Lin Feng revealed a puzzled expression. This bell was placed together with the ancient lamp. What was the use of this bell? Lin Feng held the bell and shook it. Ding ding dang dang. Suddenly, the bell rang, and a series of crisp, clanging sounds were heard. When the Netherworld race cultivator heard the clanging of the bell, a pained expression immediately appeared on his face. "Kid, stop right there." He roared furiously. His pair of pale green eyes were filled with dense killing intent. He wanted nothing more than to tear Lin Feng into pieces. After seeing this guy's expression, Lin Feng was shocked. However, this bell really had a miraculous effect. It was very lethal to the Netherworld race cultivator. He did not know what extraordinary origin this bell had, but it actually injured the cultivator's soul. Lin Feng said, "Hurry up and leave. I naturally won't shake this bell. If you don't know what's good for you, of course I won't stop." When Lin Feng finished talking, he started shaking again. The bells started ringing again. It was so loud that even the apathetic could hear them. The expression on the Netherworld race cultivator's face became more and more pained. The damage caused by the bell was too great. After seeing the Netherworld race cultivator's pained expression, Lin Feng sneered and continued to shake the bell in his hand. The Netherworld race cultivator roared again and again. In the end, he could no longer bear it and quickly flew away. After seeing the Netherworld race cultivator leave, Lin Feng heaved a sigh of relief and quickly returned to the ancient starship Xianyuan. The ancient starship Xianyuan sailed away from the huge invincible fleet. Then, it flew along the ancient starry sky path to the undying realm. However, Lin Feng felt a stifling feeling in his heart. Bibi also looked a little restless. He's in the dark. Lin Feng took a deep breath. That terrifying existence might not have left and was hiding in the dark, ready to attack at any time. That was why he felt so stifling. Bibi also felt very uneasy. Lin Feng even suspected that Guy had boarded the ancient starship Xianyuan. If that was the case, it would be an extremely terrifying matter. He had to find that guy. Otherwise, it would be very dangerous. Lin Feng's spiritual force began to search the ancient starship Xianyuan, but he found nothing. The netherworld race cultivator's methods were too terrifying. If he wanted to hide, it would not be easy to trap him with his current strength. Set up a grand array to deal with him. Lin Feng's eyes flashed with killing intent. The grand array of the ancient starship Xianyuan was extremely powerful. Originally, only the Emperor Realm Grand Array had been awakened on the ancient starship Xianyuan. However, as Lin Feng's cultivation base continued to improve, the Grand Array on the ancient starship Xianyuan had become even more powerful. Now, the ancient starship Xianyuan had even awakened an immortal rune. Lin Feng intended to use the immortal rune and Emperor Realm Grand Array on the ancient starship Xianyuan, as well as some of the arrays he had set up to deal with that guy. Lin Feng asked Bibi and the three-headed viper to seal the ancient starship Xianyuan with their spiritual forces. Their spiritual forces had been constantly scanning the ancient starship Xianyuan. This was not to discover the netherworld race cultivator, but to prevent the netherworld race cultivator from using their spiritual forces to search the cabin. If the netherworld race cultivator discovered the array he had set up, Lin Feng knew that his plan would be in vain. However, if Bibi and the three-headed viper kept searching the void with their spiritual forces, the netherworld race cultivator would not dare to release his spiritual force. If he dared to release his spiritual force, Bibi and the three-headed viper's spiritual forces would sense it. At that time, that guy would have nowhere to hide. Lin Feng quickly set up 2 grand arrays inside the cabin. He set up 2 grand arrays, an 8 trigrams grand array and a destruction grand array. The 2 grand arrays were stacked together, coupled with the immortal rune and Emperor Realm grand array of the ancient starship Xianyuan, as well as the mysterious bell Lin Feng had grasped. Lin Feng believed that if the netherworld race cultivator was trapped inside the grand array, he would lose a layer of skin, even if he didn't die. After setting up the grand array, Lin Feng could finally breathe a sigh of relief. He asked Bibi and the three-headed viper to withdraw their spiritual forces. Then he asked Bibi and the three-headed viper to temporarily return to the space-time and let them act according to the circumstances. Lin Feng sat cross-legged in the middle of the cabin, waiting for the netherworld race cultivator to appear. There was a shadow under the ancient starship Xianyuan. That shadow was formed by the netherworld race cultivator. When he discovered that the spiritual force that shrouded the ancient starship Xianyuan had disappeared, the netherworld race cultivator revealed a sinister expression. After waiting for 6 hours, he quietly sneaked into the cabin. This guy was very patient. When he arrived outside the cabin, he merged with the darkness and looked inside. He immediately saw Lin Feng sitting cross-legged in the middle of the cabin. Chapter 4081. Formation. The netherworld race cultivator's expression darkened slightly. He was extremely angry. He had thought that Lin Feng's sneak attack would be done quietly, but who would have thought that he would be the one to fall into Lin Feng's formation? "Have you walked right into my trap?" Lin Feng said indifferently. "Brat, do you think you can trap me just because you've set up a great formation? Truly laughable to the extreme. These grand formations of yours aren't worth mentioning at all, in my opinion." The netherworld race cultivator said coldly. He locked onto Lin Feng and quickly pounced on Lin Feng. However, Lin Feng had already retreated from the great formation in time. At the same time, Lin Feng activated the immortal runes and emperor formation of the ancient starship Xianyuan. The immortal rune directly blasted toward the netherworld race cultivator. The netherworld race cultivator's expression changed slightly when he felt the powerful might of the immortal rune. The netherworld race cultivator raised his right hand and blasted toward the immortal rune. With a loud bang, the cultivator from the netherworld race clashed with the immortal rune, blocking its attack. This guy's strength was indeed strong. Even the immortal rune could not cause him any harm. Lin Feng activated many Emperor formations, 8 trigrams formation, and destruction formation. All kinds of powerful attacks blasted toward the Netherworld race cultivator. Netherworld sacred rune, protect my true body. The Netherworld race cultivator could not help but shout in the face of so many attacks. Then, dense runes appeared on the surface of his body. These runes were all black and exuded an extremely terrifying aura. These black runes contained unimaginable power. When the various attacks landed on his body, they were all blocked by the runes. *CK, this guy is so strong. Lin Feng's expression suddenly darkened. However, Lin Feng was mentally prepared for this situation. Therefore, he could accept this situation. Lin Feng took out the mysterious bell and began to shake it. Ding ding dang dang. Ding ding dang dang. Ding ding dang dang. A series of crisp sounds of collision rang out. The sound was extremely pleasing to the ears. However, in the ears of the Netherworld race cultivators, this voice sounded like it was demanding their lives. He screamed again. Brat, put down the bell if you dare. I'll teach you how to behave in a matter of minutes. The Netherworld race cultivator roared furiously. Lin Feng curled his lips and said, Are you crazy? Since I have this bell, why don't I use it? Not only did Lin Feng not stop, but he also increased the speed of shaking the bell. The Netherworld race cultivator suffered great pain. He continued to roar and roar, then began to attack the formation, wanting to rush out of the cabin. He knew that Lin Feng had plotted against him. Now, it was simply impossible for him to kill Lin Feng. The fact that he could escape from Lin Feng's clutches was already quite good. The impact of a Netherworld race cultivator was very strong. After tearing apart the formation, he quickly rushed out of the ancient starship Xianyuan and quickly fled, disappearing without a trace. What a pity! Seeing the Netherworld race cultivator escape, Lin Feng felt that it was a pity. However, the Netherworld race cultivator was simply too powerful. It wasn't strange for him to be able to escape from his grasp. The mysterious bell had caused a lot of damage to the Netherworld race cultivator's soul. Lin Feng was quite confident about this. That oppressive feeling had disappeared. The Netherworld race cultivator should have left. The ancient starship Xianyuan quickly flew along the ancient starry sky path. Several thousand meters away, the Netherworld race cultivator hovered in the starry sky world, looking at the ancient starship Xianyuan with a gloomy expression. Brat, you took something you shouldn't have. You can't escape. When I recover, it will be your death. Naturally, Lin Feng could not hear this fellow's voice. He sat cross-legged in the cabin and carefully studied the mysterious bell. That mysterious bell was too extraordinary. Previously, because of the Netherworld race cultivator, he had not been able to calm down and properly study what kind of treasure it was. Now, he finally had the time to carefully study the origin of that treasure. The mysterious bell's surface was densely covered with mysterious runes. Lin Feng discovered that these runes were a type of runes he had never seen before. He also did not know their origin. Lin Feng tried to use his magic power to refine this mysterious bell, but in the end, he failed. Then, he dripped a drop of blood on the bell. Lin Feng's blood was immediately absorbed by the mysterious bell. After the mysterious bell absorbed Lin Feng's blood, Lin Feng's expression changed. Lin Feng vaguely felt that his spiritual force and the mysterious bell seemed to produce a mysterious fusion. Ding ding dang dang. Ding ding dang dang. Ding ding dang dang. Lin Feng heard the shaking of the bell, but in reality, Lin Feng did not shake the bell. Lin Feng discovered that he had appeared in an ancient mountain. In the ancient mountain, there was a Taoist temple. The shaking sound of the bell came from the Taoist temple. Lin Feng entered the Taoist temple. The Taoist priests in the temple were not very big. There were only a dozen of them. In a room in the backyard, a bare-chested Taoist was forging a treasure. The treasure that the Taoist priest was forging was a bell. However, the bell that the Taoist priest had forged was very large. It was about the size of an ancient bell. However, the bell in Lin Feng's hand was very small. Lin Feng guessed that the bell that the Taoist priest had forged was the bell that he had obtained. That bell should be able to change its size. It was just that he had not grasped the knack of activating it. If he could find the knack of activating it, at that time, he should be able to activate the power of this treasure. Those images quickly disappeared, and some information poured into Lin Feng's mind. The name of this weapon was the Six-Path Soul Subduing Bell. In fact, treasures like the Soul Subduing Bell were relatively common. Depending on the materials and craftsmanship, the power of a treasure like the Soul Subduing Bell would also vary. However, the Soul Subduing Bell that Lin Feng had obtained was called the Six-Path Soul Subduing Bell. This name was too unusual, mainly because it involved the two words six paths. Any treasures or abilities that were related to these two words were extremely extraordinary. The same went for the Six-Path Soul Subduing Bell. Lin Feng put away the Six-Path Soul Subduing Bell. Half a month later, Lin Feng saw a huge celestial domain. Some starry sky ancient ships flew towards that celestial domain, one after another. From the looks of it, that celestial domain should have a planet with life. Lin Feng put away the Xianyuan starry sky ancient ship and also flew towards that celestial domain. Chapter 4082. Lin Feng quickly flew towards the star domain ahead. Along the way, he saw many cultivators. However, those cultivators were in groups. Very few cultivators were like Lin Feng, traveling through space alone. The main reason was because the outer realm was too dangerous. No one was willing to take the risk. Of course, if one was strong enough, then it would be a different situation. Perhaps they would be like Lin Feng, traveling through space alone. When Lin Feng neared the star domain, he discovered that there seemed to be more than 10 life planets. The life planet in the middle was the largest. The surrounding life planets revolved around the main planet in the middle. Most people were flying towards the main planet in the middle. However, there were also some people flying towards the surrounding life planets. Lin Feng made some inquiries and found out that this place was the Xian Domain Star Ocean. The main planet of the Xian Domain Star Ocean was called Star Xian Domain. As for the surrounding planets, each planet was occupied by a large power. Those major forces were all forces with extremely ancient legacies. Star Xian Domain did not belong to any single power. Instead, it was jointly controlled by the powers of the surrounding planets. Guan Guan's mother's family, the Ning family, is here. After knowing that this place was the Xian Domain Star Ocean, Lin Feng thought of Guan Guan. Guan Guan was one of Lin Feng's favorite women. Demoness Guan Guan. Beautiful, charming, passionate, bold. She was like the most deadly poison that attracted Lin Feng. Previously, Lin Feng and Guan Guan met in the outer realm. Both of them were together for a period of time. Afterwards, Guan Guan's mother wrote a letter saying that there was an urgent matter. She asked Guan Guan to return. As for Guan Guan, she hoped that when Lin Feng went to the undying realm in the future, he would stay in the Xian Domain Star Ocean for a period of time. While he was there, he wanted to meet her mother. Lin Feng naturally knew Guan Guan's intention. Lin Feng had never forgotten about this matter. However, he did not expect that the star domain in front of him was the Xian Domain Star Ocean. Lin Feng planned to rest for a while before making some inquiries about the division of power in the Xian Domain Star Ocean. At the same time, he wanted to find out some basic information about the Ning family. After that, he would head to the Ning family. Lin Feng landed on planet Xian Domain. There are over 100 ancient cities in planet Xian Domain. Many of them are extremely lively. Lin Feng arrived at the ancient city at the center of planet Xian Domain. This was the largest ancient city on planet Xian Domain. People came and went, and it was extremely lively. This place had the busiest trading market and the largest auction house on planet Xian Domain. Therefore, the ancient city in the center had attracted countless cultivators traveling through the starry sky. Countless cultivators who traveled through space liked to trade in the central ancient city. For example, they would sell some treasures they obtained during their adventures that they didn't need. Or they could buy some things that they needed. After Lin Feng arrived at the central ancient city, he first found an inn. They rented a courtyard in the inn. Lin Feng planned to have a good rest first. Not long after Lin Feng settled down, someone knocked on the door of Lin Feng's courtyard. Lin Feng couldn't help but frown. "Who's knocking on my door?" He had just arrived here, and besides Guan Guan, he did not know anyone else. Could it be that Guan Guan had seen him? However, that didn't seem right. When Guan Guan saw him, she had already called out to him. With doubt in his heart, Lin Feng went outside and opened the door. He saw a young-looking cultivator standing outside. When the cultivator saw Lin Feng, he asked, "You are Lin Feng?" Lin Feng frowned. This person actually knew him. However, he didn't know this guy. In the vast starry sky world, it was as difficult as ascending to the heavens to meet an acquaintance. However, today, he actually met someone who knew him. It was really not easy. "Who are you?" Lin Feng asked. "You don't need to ask who I am. You only need to know that someone wants to see you. Follow me." The cultivator looked at Lin Feng with an arrogant expression and spoke in a tone as if he was ordering his servant. Lin Feng frowned. This guy's attitude made him feel very unhappy. Lin Feng did not follow this person. He had a sneer on his face. Who did this guy think he was? If he wanted him to leave with him, he had to leave with him? What a joke. The cultivator also noticed that Lin Feng did not stand still. His expression turned ugly. He turned his head and looked coldly at Lin Feng. "Didn't you hear what I said? Don't make me say the same thing a second time." The cultivator had an arrogant expression on his face. He was looking at Lin Feng with an ice-cold expression. His eyes were filled with coldness. Lin Feng said with an indifferent expression, "Why should I follow you to see that person? Go back and tell your master that if he wants to see me, tell him to come personally." "Kid, what did you say?" The cultivator's gaze turned cold. "What? Don't you understand human language?" Lin Feng looked at the cultivator mockingly. The cultivator's face turned cold. "You dare to insult me? Are you worthy?" Lin Feng curled his lips. He looked at the cultivator with a gaze full of contempt. Lin Feng's gaze made the cultivator extremely angry. He said coldly, "Kid, if you know what's good for you, come with me. Otherwise, I don't mind dragging you away." What a joke. What kind of Tom, Dick, and Harry dare to come to my place and jump around? Lin Feng said disdainfully. Boom! A terrifying aura was emitted from the cultivator's body. The cultivator directly punched at Lin Feng. Lin Feng's expression was cold. He waved his hand and slapped at the cultivator. Bang! The cultivator and Lin Feng's palm collided. Immediately, as if struck by lightning, the cultivator was sent flying. Kneel. Lin Feng's expression was indifferent. Then, the cultivator couldn't withstand the terrifying pressure emitted from Lin Feng's body and knelt on the ground. Lin Feng flicked his finger and a restriction flew out. It suppressed the cultivator's body, making it difficult for him to struggle. You dare to suppress me? How dare you humiliate me like this? Do you know who I am? The cultivator roared angrily, said Lin Feng indifferently. I don't care who you are. You came to my place to act all high and mighty. You must be tired of living. Wait for your master to come and save you. After saying that, Lin Feng returned to his courtyard. Many people were pointing and whispering outside. Late at night, someone knocked on Lin Feng's courtyard door again. Lin Gongzi, I'm sorry for visiting so late at night. I wonder if I can meet with Lin Gongzi? Then a voice sounded in the courtyard. Chapter 4083. The voice sounded familiar. Soon, Lin Feng realized who the owner of the voice was. Lin Feng didn't expect it. Why would this woman appear here? It was such a coincidence that he bumped into her the moment he arrived. Come in. The door opened, and Lin Feng's voice sounded. The woman stepped into the courtyard, and the door closed. The woman wore a black dress and was extremely beautiful. After seeing this woman, Lin Feng sneered. He said, I really didn't expect you to come here. What are you doing here? Are you here for the 2 Shi ancient coin? This woman was none other than Morong Yuechan, the female cultivator who secretly gave him the 2 Shi ancient coin. Morong Yuechan wanted to get the 2 Shi ancient coin back from Lin Feng. However, the 2 Shi ancient coin and Lin Feng had formed a close connection. Lin Feng's fate and the 2 Shi ancient coin's fate were intertwined. Therefore, Morong Yuechan couldn't get it back. Of course, even if he could get it back, Lin Feng wouldn't give it to her. Back then, this woman caused him to be cursed by the 2 Shi ancient coin. However, she managed to escape unscathed. Wanting to get the 2 Shi ancient coin back so easily was simply a daydream. Actually, I've been wanting to find Lin Gongzi all these years. However, I was delayed by some matters. I didn't expect Lin Gongzi to come to the Xian domain. I saw Lin Gongzi by chance and sent my subordinates to invite Lin Gongzi for a gathering. However, I didn't expect that Lin Gongzi would have a conflict with my subordinates. Morong Yuechan said. Lin Feng said indifferently, Are you talking about that guy outside? He was just a servant, yet he was so full of himself. How did Fairy Yuechan discipline her servants? Or perhaps, like master, like servant? Morong Yuechan said, Lin Gongzi, are you indirectly scolding the locust? Lin Feng said indifferently, No, I'm just expressing my feelings. After hearing Lin Feng's words, Morong Yuechan said with a fake smile, Lin Gongzi is magnanimous. Don't lower yourself to Lin Gongzi's level. I apologize on behalf of my subordinates. I hope that Lin Gongzi will be magnanimous and let him go, said Lin Feng. Goddess Yuchan asked me personally, so I won't lower myself to your level. Lin Feng flicked his finger and godly lights flew out. The divine light instantly removed the restriction on the cultivator. That subordinate of yours is already free. Lin Feng said. Morong Yuechan said, Thank you, Lin Gongzi, for sparing these ignorant servants. We're here for the 2 Shi ancient coin. Lin Feng said, Since you know you can't take it away, why bother wasting your time? Morong Yuechan said, I know that Lin Gongzi is very angry about what happened before. To express my apology, Lin Gongzi only needs to hand over the 2 Shi ancient coin. Then I'll give Lin Gongzi an immortal scripture and an immortal artifact. How about it? That should be enough to appease Lin Gongzi, right? How generous. However, the 2 Shi ancient coin is connected to my fate. I'm afraid you can't take it away. Lin Feng said. Morong Yuechan said, All these years we've been trying to think of a way to solve this problem. In recent years, we've thought of a way. Perhaps we can give it a try. It should be able to successfully separate the two Shi ancient coin from Lin Gongzi's fate. Lin Feng said with a cold smile, "This should have some negative effects on me, right? Even if it doesn't, I won't agree to it. The secret of the two Shi ancient coin and the two Shi immortal kingdom should belong to me, not you. Leave now and don't come looking for me in the future. There's no room for discussion on this matter between us." Murong Yuechan narrowed her eyes and said, "Shouldn't Lin Gongzi think about it carefully? This is something that benefits both of us." "Take care. I won't be seeing you out," Lin Feng said indifferently. Murong Yuechan's eyes flashed with coldness. Then she retracted the coldness in her eyes and said, "I hope that Lin Gongzi will think about it carefully in the next few days." Then Murong Yuechan left Lin Feng's residence. "Young miss, is it done?" Seeing Murong Yuechan come out, a dozen people waiting outside came up to her, and an old man asked. Murong Yuechan shook her head. That old man's eyes flashed with killing intent and said, "That brat refused a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Why don't we go all the way and kill him directly?" Murong Yuechan said, "This person is not simple. He has some powerful magic treasures and some powerful methods. If we can kill him directly, it'll be fine. If we can't kill him directly, it'll leave behind a huge problem. Let's wait and see. I hope that he can make the right choice. Also, send someone to monitor him." "Yes, young miss," the old man replied. "It seems that Murong Yuechan's family should be a power in the Xian Domain Star Ocean." Lin Feng couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. The Xian Domain Star Ocean had more than a dozen powerful powers. And those powers, they were all very ancient and powerful. Lin Feng felt that Murong Yuechan's family should be one of them. With regards to Murong Yuechan's arrival, Lin Feng didn't put it to heart. With his current strength, he can deal with all kinds of situations. One person against an entire family. This is a phrase that describes an expert like Lin Feng. Unless Murong Yuechan's family has an immortal level existence. Otherwise, Lin Feng wouldn't be afraid of Murong Yuechan's family. The next day, Lin Feng planned to go to some bookstores to buy some books about the division of powers in the Xian Domain Star Ocean. He discovered that there are people following him in the dark. Seems like it's people from the Murong family. These people are really like ghosts that won't go away. Lin Feng didn't care about those people. After he found a bookstore, he bought some basic books. Then he found a place to start reading. After reading the contents of these books, Lin Feng had a more comprehensive understanding of the division of powers in the Xian Domain Star Ocean. The Xian Domain Star Ocean consists of 1 sect, 3 sects, and 8 families. This sect refers to the Xian Domain sect, the strongest power in the Xian Domain Star Ocean. The 3 sects refer to the Xian Dao sect, Xian Xing sect, and Xianhai sect. The 8 families refer to the Ning family, Situ family, Zhang family, Helian family, Murong family, Sikong family, Tu family, and Tantai family. The Xian Domain Star Ocean's 12 major powers each have a deep background. Of course, Chapter 4084. Because of this subtle distribution of power, the mystic star domain was relatively peaceful. The most frightening thing was for one faction to become the dominant faction. Once that happened, the dominant faction would inevitably become arrogant. They would not be willing to accept the fact that the resources, territories, and benefits that their faction obtained were similar to those of the other factions. At that time, a war would inevitably break out. However, there was no need to worry about such a thing happening. The 12 factions of the Mystic Star Domain had been living peacefully for the past few years. Lin Feng focused on 2 factions. One was the Ning family, and the other was the Murong family. The ancestor of the Ning family was called Ning Tianchen. He was an extremely talented person. It was said that he was an expert from the era of titled gods. The Ning family was not a faction of the mystic star domain in the beginning. They only took root in the mystic star domain after the ancient era. They were once prosperous. They were also once weak. In the past few years, the Ning family had not been peaceful. It was said that the Ning family patriarch was injured a few years ago. In addition, several experts of the Ning family walked out from the Godstone. Among the experts of the Ning family, only one of them was from the patriarch's faction. The others were from the Grand Elders faction. Therefore, the Grand Elders faction wanted to strip the Ning family patriarch's faction of their power. They wanted to make the Grand Elders faction the new main faction. The current patriarch's faction would become the Grand Elders faction. Naturally, the patriarch's faction would not agree to this. Therefore, the Ning family was in chaos. Of course, after all, they were from the same family. They had not completely shed all pretense of cordiality. Now, these two factions were trying their best to win the support of the elders. If the elders in the family supported the patriarch's faction, even though the Grand Elders faction had more experts, it would not be easy to usurp the patriarch's position. After all, the opinions of the middle management of any faction could not be underestimated. If there was no support from the middle management, even if there were more experts among these people, in the end, there would be no support, and their power would be taken away. After all, those experts were basically used as a deterrent. They would not personally manage the affairs of the family. The ones who were truly in charge of managing the various affairs of the clan were the elders of the clan. I wonder if Guan Guan was summoned back to the clan by her mother because of the internal strife in the clan. Lin Feng couldn't help but frown slightly. There were simply too many tricks up their sleeves. There were all kinds of infighting and power struggles. Everyone was scheming against each other. Moreover, he completely disregarded his blood ties. As for the introduction of the Morong family, Lin Feng paid more attention to it. The Morong family is the most mysterious family among the 8 great families. This family is a power that took root in the Xian domain's starry ocean during the ancient era. It was now the Age of Chaos, which was also known as the Late Antiquity era. Further back was the Middle Antiquity era, and further back was the Ancient Antiquity era. It had only been 1,000,000 years since the ancient era. For powerful cultivators, 1,000,000 years was not a long time. It was said that the Morong family was very powerful and had relations with some ancient powers. Back then, the other powers joined hands to prevent the Morong family from taking root in the Xian domain Starry Sea. However, they failed in the end. From this, it can be seen how great the capability of the Morong family is. However, after the Morong family took root in the Xian domain Starry Ocean, they kept a low profile. Although the family doesn't lack some evil second-generation young masters, any large family doesn't lack these kind of people. And these kind of people are naturally a group of harmless people. Lin Feng put away the book and left the bookstore. Not long after he left the bookstore, a group of people rushed over and surrounded Lin Feng. The group of people parted, and a young master walked over. This young master has an arrogant expression. He indifferently glanced at Lin Feng and said, "You should be that Lin Feng, right? I heard that you have an item here. That item should belong to my Morong family. Now, hand it over." This person's tone is cold and indifferent. He used an unquestionable tone to speak. If Lin Feng dares to refuse him, it seems like he will suffer a thunderous attack. It is the Morong family's 6th young, Master Morong Jia. This guy was definitely not a good person. Who is that brat? He is actually being targeted by Morong Jia. I'm afraid he is somewhat unlucky this time. The commotion here naturally attracted many cultivators who came to watch the show. Some people recognized the identity of this young master. Morong family's sixth young master, Morong Jia, is a direct descendant of the Morong family. He is the grandson of the Morong family's patriarch. This Morong Jia's way of doing things is vicious and merciless. In order to achieve his goal, he will do anything. Therefore, many people are extremely afraid of Morong Jia. No one dares to provoke Morong Jia. Originally, the matter of 2 Shi ancient coins was not Morong Jia's responsibility. It was Morong Yuechan's responsibility. Morong Yuechan, among the younger generation of the Morong family, her talent is the best. Moreover, she has been extremely intelligent since she was young. She is the most valued person among the younger generation of the Morong family. If Morong Yuechan was not a woman, she would have received even more support, resources, and authority from the family. Among the younger generation of the Morong family, there are some who just muddle along and don't care about this. However, there are some who are filled with jealousy towards Morong Yuechan. Morong Jia belongs to the group of people who are filled with jealousy towards Morong Yuechan. Morong Yuechan is Morong Jia's cousin. They are not blood-related siblings. Morong Jia has always thought that he is not inferior to Morong Yuechan in terms of talent, ability, and so on. However, his status in the family is far from his cousin's. This made Morong Jia extremely unhappy. Although the matter of 2 Shi ancient coins is not under Morong Jia's responsibility, Morong Jia heard that Morong Yuechan suffered because of this matter. Therefore, he personally took action and brought the 2 Shi ancient coins back to the family. When that time comes, the elders in the family will definitely see him in a new light. With this goal in mind, Morong Jia personally came to look for Lin Feng. Lin Feng glanced at Morong Jia indifferently and said, "A good dog doesn't block the way. There are no good dogs in the way. Get out of my way. Don't block my way." When Lin Feng said this, all the cultivators around were dumbfounded. None of them knew Lin Feng. However, they could roughly sense Lin Feng's age and could also sense Lin Feng's race. A young cultivator from the human clan. Although they could not sense Lin Feng's specific realm. However, Lin Feng is so young. Moreover, his talent is the most ordinary among the human clan. How much cultivation could such a person have? However, Lin Feng is being so arrogant in front of Morong Jia. In many people's eyes, Lin Feng must be tired of living. Morong Jia will definitely not let Lin Feng go. Chapter 4085. Morong Jia's gaze was extremely gloomy. He looked coldly at Lin Feng and said, "Boy, do you know what you're saying?" Lin Feng looked at Morong Jia with a mocking gaze and said, "You really don't understand human language? It seems like I said that a good dog doesn't block the way. You're right." Hearing this, many people's mouths twitched violently because Lin Feng was really too arrogant. This was the Morong clan's territory, but Lin Feng was actually so arrogant in the Morong clan's territory. Lin Feng was just a foreign cultivator. There was a saying that a strong dragon could not suppress a snake in its own territory. No matter how they looked at it, Lin Feng did not seem to be a strong dragon. Many people had seen arrogant people before, but they had never seen someone like Lin Feng, who was so weak and arrogant in someone else's territory. Although they did not have a good impression of Morong Jia and hoped that someone would teach him a lesson, it was obvious that Lin Feng was unable to teach Morong Jia a lesson. Now that he had humiliated Morong Jia like this, Lin Feng's fate would definitely be extremely miserable. "You're courting death. You're courting death. You're courting death." Morong Jia's voice was extremely cold, and his eyes were bursting with a dense killing intent. There was actually someone who looked down on him and disdained him. This made Morong Jia extremely angry. Murong Jie's heart was already overflowing with killing intent. If he did not kill Lin Feng, how could he calm down the anger in his heart? Catch this boy for me. I'll make him kneel in front of me like a dog, and then beg me to spare his dog life. Murong Jie said coldly, "Yes, master." After hearing Murong Jie's order, a group of people hurriedly responded. Then, this group of cultivators pounced on Lin Feng like wolves and tigers. "It's over. This boy is really finished this time." Many people exclaimed. Naturally, no one was optimistic about Lin Feng. Thinking about it, it made sense. How could a young human cultivator like Lin Feng fight with the Murong clan? They were not on the same level at all. At this moment, Lin Feng's body suddenly emitted a terrifying aura. When the terrifying aura was released, the cultivators who were rushing towards Lin Feng were all unable to withstand the terrifying pressure. Thump, thump, thump. One cultivator after another knelt on the ground, their faces as pale as paper. "Oh my God, what's going on? Why are those people kneeling?" The surrounding cultivators who were watching the show exclaimed one after another. Lin Feng released his own pressure. His control over it was perfect. He did not target the surrounding cultivators who were watching the show. Those cultivators were also unable to sense the powerful pressure emanating from Lin Feng's body. Thus, when they saw the cultivators who were charging towards Lin Feng kneeling before him, looks of disbelief appeared on their faces. His body is emitting an extremely terrifying pressure. However, his control is extremely perfect. Ordinary people would not be able to sense the pressure emitted from his body. An extremely powerful cultivator said in a deep voice. He felt the pressure emanating from Lin Feng and was extremely shocked. He looked at Lin Feng with a serious expression. "What? This boy is so powerful at such a young age." One cultivator after another exclaimed in shock. Lin Feng walked towards Murong Jie step by step. At this moment, Murong Jie's entire body was trembling violently. He was enveloped by Lin Feng's pressure. If his cultivation was not strong enough, he would have been unable to withstand it and would have knelt on the ground. Although he had not knelt down yet, he had almost reached his limit. "Ant-like thing, how dare you behave so atrociously in front of me? You really don't know what's good for you." Lin Feng glanced at Murong Jie indifferently. You. Murong Jie's voice trembled. When Lin Feng arrived beside him, Murong Jie could no longer endure it. Murong Jie couldn't take it anymore. He knelt down in front of Lin Feng. "Murong Jie seems to be a sage emperor, right? He actually knelt down. What kind of existence is that young master? Could he be a peak sage emperor? A sage emperor can't possibly exert such pressure on Murong Jie. He's at least an imperial lord. This is ridiculous. That young master is so young. How can he be an imperial lord? If he's not an imperial lord, why would Murong Jie be unable to withstand the pressure coming from his body and kneel on the ground?" The cultivators who were watching the show were in an uproar. Lin Feng's combat strength was too terrifying. It was simply heaven-defying. Seeing how powerful Lin Feng was, everyone could not help but feel deeply shocked. Everybody was looking at Lin Feng with respect and admiration. No matter where a strong cultivator went, he would always be respected and respected. "I won't kill you, because you don't have the right. I'll kill you. You'll only dirty my hands." Lin Feng looked at Murong Jie with contempt. Murong Jie had always been a proud and arrogant person. He had always been a high and mighty figure. He had always been the one humiliating others. When had he ever been humiliated like this? Now that he heard Lin Feng's words, he was furious. Wah! He spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was as pale as a sheet. his body fell to the ground and twitched violently. This guy had actually gone mad. His mental fortitude is really bad. With such mental fortitude, what great achievements can he have? Lin Feng could not help but sneer and soar into the sky. He planned to leave planet Xian and head to planet Tian, Nan, where the Ning clan was. Planet Tian, Nan, was located northwest of planet Xian. It was where the Ning clan was located. There were a total of 36 cities on planet Tian Nan. The main city was called Ning City. It was named after the Ning clan's surname. Planet Tian Nan was also very lively, especially during this period of time. There were even more cultivators entering planet Tian Nan. This was because many forces knew that the Ning clan in planet Tian Nan was in an undercurrent. Thus, many people were waiting for the Ning clan to fight. When the time came, planet Tian Nan would be in chaos. At that time, those cultivators would be able to take advantage of the situation and wantonly plunder planet Tian Nan's resources. This kind of thing was too common. If the Ning clan's losses were too severe, planet Tian Nan might change hands. Although the remaining 11 major forces seemed calm, they were actually paying attention to the Ning clan's situation. Perhaps the two major forces of the Ning clan were also worried about other forces taking advantage of the situation, so they did not make a move. However, the open and covert fighting continued. Lin Feng landed in Arisima and flew in the direction of Ning City. He passed by a small town. As he was passing by, Lin Feng heard a piece of news. It was said that the skeleton of a true dragon had appeared in the Tian Nan ancient forest. Chapter 4086. The 9th true dragon great emperor fell one after another. No one knew where the true dragon skeleton was buried. The true dragon skeleton was found. He should be able to obtain the inheritance of the true dragon great emperor. In the past, the true dragon great emperor was an existence that could contend with the ancient saint emperor of the human race. One could imagine how powerful this level of expert was. Now, a large number of cultivators had arrived. They were all here to search for the true dragon skeleton. The news of the true dragon skeleton appearing here was really too shocking. The news has just been spread out. Most of the cultivators here are still from the heavenly South Star. If this news is spread out, it will definitely attract a lot of powerful cultivators. The heavenly South Ancient Forest is too dangerous. Unfortunately, we are not strong enough. If we were strong enough, we could enter the heavenly South Ancient Forest to explore. Yes, maybe we can get the opportunity inside. But now that we are not strong enough, we can only think about it. We don't dare to have any extravagant hopes. Some cultivators were talking about the true dragon skeleton. After Lin Feng heard the discussion of those cultivators, he did not stay in the ancient town. He also wanted to see if the legendary true dragon skeleton was true. If it was true, Lin Feng would definitely obtain the inheritance of the true dragon great emperor. He flew towards the depths of the heavenly South Ancient Forest. The heavenly South Ancient Forest was very large. It was said that this ancient forest occupied 1/10 of the heavenly South Star's territory. From this, one could see how big the heavenly South Ancient Forest was. There were many terrifying, fierce beasts in the heavenly South Ancient Forest. Many of them were fierce beasts that even the experts of the Ning family of the heavenly South Star were not willing to provoke, because those fierce beasts were really too powerful. This time, a large number of cultivators had poured into the heavenly South Ancient Forest. From time to time, fierce beasts and cultivators would break out in battle. Violent fluctuations came from the mountain forest in front of him. There were creatures fighting together. Lin Feng quickly flew over and saw more than a dozen cultivators besieging an 8-armed evil tiger. The eight-armed evil tiger was an extremely ferocious beast. It was cruel and bloodthirsty, and was good at hiding its body. It liked to hide in dark corners and sneak attack its opponent. This kind of creature was extremely rare. Lin Feng had only heard of the eight-armed evil tiger before, but had never seen one. This was the first time Lin Feng had seen the eight-armed evil tiger. That wave of cultivators had a furious expression on their faces, and their gazes towards the eight-armed evil tiger were filled with dense, killing intent. This made Lin Feng quite surprised. They didn't seem to be hunting the eight-armed evil tiger for the corpse of the eight-armed evil tiger. Instead, they seemed to be avenging someone. This group of people was led by a rather young master and another rather young female cultivator. These two had the most powerful cultivation. Under their leadership, the group of people launched a fierce attack on the eight-armed evil tiger. Lin Feng couldn't help but take a few more glances at the female cultivator, mainly because she was too beautiful. Her figure could be described as the perfect golden ratio, and her palm-sized face was exquisite and beautiful. Under the joint attack of more than a dozen people, the eight-armed evil tiger was injured, and many wounds appeared on its body. The eight-armed evil tiger roared angrily. "You lowly ants, do you know who my master is? You dare to besiege me? I think you don't want to live anymore." The eight-armed evil tiger was very arrogant and roared angrily. "You beast! You ate 3 of our companions. We don't care who your master is. You're dead today." The young male cultivator, who led the group, said fiercely. Lin Feng had already guessed the grudges between them. The eight-armed evil tiger liked to devour creatures of other races to improve its strength. Therefore, this group of people was unlucky to be attacked by the eight-armed evil tiger. The eight-armed evil tiger ate 3 of their companions, and the rest of them began to attack the eight-armed evil tiger like crazy. "No need to talk to this beast. Just kill it," the very beautiful female cultivator said. The dozen people increased the intensity of their attacks. One by one, powerful magic treasures attacked the eight-armed evil tiger with all kinds of attacks. Among them, 3 flying swords slashed at the eight-armed evil tiger. The eight-armed evil tiger could not dodge these attacks. Its injuries were getting worse. The eight-armed evil tiger kept roaring. It wanted to kill a few people before it died, so it kept pouncing on some of the cultivators. However, the cultivators dodged it. Puff! A flying sword directly pierced the eight-armed evil tiger's body, and its body fell to the ground. The eight-armed evil tiger let out a sorrowful cry. Just as these people were about to finish off the eight-armed evil tiger, the void slightly distorted, and a cultivator appeared. This cultivator had the body of a human, the tail of a crocodile, centipede-like scales, and the eyes of a spider. This was a foreign creature. When he saw the foreign creature, Lin Feng's face could not help but reveal an extremely surprised expression. He had not seen a foreign creature for a long time. These foreign creatures were extremely evil and also extremely powerful. Many of the disturbances in the past were related to these foreign creatures. The cultivators of this epoch hated the foreign creatures to the core. "Great Master," after seeing the foreign creature, the eight-armed evil tiger's somewhat dim eyes suddenly lit up. The foreign creature waved his hand, and a mass of green light poured into the eight-armed evil tiger's body. In an instant, the eight-armed evil tiger's injuries healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. It did not take long for the eight-armed evil tiger's injuries to be completely healed. When they saw this scene, the expressions of those cultivators immediately changed greatly. That foreign creature was just too powerful. It made them tremble in fear. "Who gave you the guts to kill my mount?" That foreign creature's voice was ice-cold as he spoke. "Your mount ate 3 of our companions, so we want to avenge our companions," a cultivator said. Avenge? Ant-like things? How dare you talk about revenge? The foreign creature's face suddenly revealed a disdainful expression. Let's go. The female cultivator in the lead said. She had already seen that this foreign creature was not someone they could contend against, so she did not dare to stay any longer. The others did not dare to stay any longer either. These people turned around and wanted to leave, but the foreign creature's body emitted a terrifying aura, which directly enveloped everyone. Suddenly, the dozen or so cultivators felt that they could not move. The foreign creature was too powerful, and they did not even have the strength to resist. Die! The foreign creature's expression was indifferent as he attacked the dozen or so cultivators across the void. At this moment, the dozen or so cultivators felt the aura of death envelop them. Chapter 4087. The foreign being's expression was cold and emotionless. In his opinion, those cultivators were dead for sure. There was no way they could turn the situation around. Those cultivators indeed had no way to resist the foreign being's attack. Although they were extremely unwilling, they could only wait for death to come. They didn't want to die, but this was no longer a question of whether they wanted to die or not. The initiative was not in their hands at all. Just as the dozen or so cultivators were about to be killed, the void trembled slightly. A cultivator stepped out from the void. This cultivator was none other than Lin Feng. Lin Feng pointed lightly at the energy palm. There was a loud bang. That energy palm directly shattered. We didn't die. The group of cultivators immediately became excited. They thought that they were definitely going to die, but they didn't expect to survive. Everyone looked at Lin Feng. When they saw Lin Feng, they were extremely shocked. The cultivator in front of them was so young, but he was so powerful. It was unbelievable. Hurry up and leave this place. Lin Feng looked at the dozen or so cultivators and said, "Thank you for saving our lives." The cultivators hurriedly thanked Lin Feng. They didn't dare to stay and quickly left. "Kid, who are you?" The foreign being frowned slightly. He didn't stop those people from leaving because those people were simply ants to him. The human cultivator in front of him was a worthy opponent. "Who am I? You don't have the right to know." Lin Feng said indifferently, Aren't you a little too arrogant?" The foreign being said with a gloomy expression. The foreign beings had always been extremely arrogant. This foreign being naturally had such a personality. Only they, the foreign beings, looked down on cultivators of other races. When had they ever been looked down on by others? But today, Lin Feng's arrogant attitude made the foreign being extremely angry. Lin Feng said indifferently, "Arrogant? That's because I have the strength." "Is that so? I'd like to see what qualifications you have to say such words." The foreign creature sneered and then rushed towards Lin Feng. Meanwhile, his mount. They also charged towards Lin Feng. The 8-armed evil tiger was as fast as lightning, taking the lead to pounce on Lin Feng. Meanwhile, the foreign creature landed behind the 8-armed evil tiger. He was also preparing a divine ability. This guy's speed was not necessarily slower than the 8-armed evil tiger's. The reason why he fell behind the 8-armed evil tiger was because he wanted to use the 8-armed evil tiger's cover to launch a killing blow on Lin Feng. However, this guy obviously underestimated Lin Feng's strength. When the 8-armed evil tiger pounced over, Lin Feng flicked his finger and a sword chi flew out quickly, slashing towards the 8-armed evil tiger. The 8-armed evil tiger opened its bloody mouth and spat out dense wind blades. It wanted to use those extremely powerful wind blades to block Lin Feng's attack, but the 8-armed evil tiger ultimately failed. Lin Feng's sword chi instantly pierced through the wind blades and arrived in front of the 8-armed evil tiger. Lin Feng's sword chi continued moving towards the 8-armed evil tiger. Suddenly, a tearing sound was heard. The 8-armed evil tiger's body was directly torn into 2 halves, and it was killed by Lin Feng on the spot. Lin Feng's body swayed, and in the next moment, he was already in front of the foreign being. 9 heavens, 10 earths, the best in the world technique was displayed. Lin Feng carried supreme divine power, as if an unparalleled immortal divine king had returned. A punch blasted towards the foreign being. The foreign cultivator was astonished. He hadn't thought Lin Feng would be able to kill his mount so easily. Lin Feng's cultivation was clearly beyond the foreign being's estimation. Of course, this foreign being was also very powerful. Facing Lin Feng's tyrannical attack, the foreign being stretched out its sharp claws. It directly slapped towards Lin Feng. On the foreign being's claws, endless shadows of the starry sky appeared. He didn't know the name of this divine ability, but its power should be extremely tyrannical. Bang! Along with the violent collision sound, the foreign being was blasted away by Lin Feng. Kacha, 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 kacha. His bones were broken by Lin Feng's punch. The foreign cultivator was severely injured. He couldn't help but cough out a mouthful of blood. He didn't dare to continue fighting with Lin Feng, so he turned around and ran into the distance. Lin Feng couldn't help but be stupefied. In his memory, in his impression, the foreign beings were all extremely arrogant. These guys definitely wouldn't easily run away. Even if they couldn't win, they would still fight with their lives on the line. Only when they really had no other choice would they run away. Although this foreign being's arm was broken by Lin Feng, the great battle between the two sides had just begun. This guy actually turned around and ran, truly lacking in backbone. Lin Feng guessed that this guy shouldn't be one of the foreign beings that had been suppressed in the past. Those foreign beings that crossed the universe and were suppressed for many years. Even if their cultivation fell, they were still incomparably vicious, not easily cowering back. Perhaps this guy was a foreign being born in this world. Lin Feng quickly chased after the fleeing foreign being. He said with a chuckle, "You can't escape. There's no need to make a futile struggle." This foreign being's expression was extremely gloomy. He ignored Lin Feng and fled frantically. But soon his face turned green because he discovered that Lin Feng was actually quickly chasing after him. This foreign being was incomparably depressed. Speed was his forte, but he didn't expect that Lin Feng's speed was actually even faster than his. This foreign being knew that he had to use his ultimate move, or else Lin Feng would definitely catch up. His back trembled slightly, and then a pair of huge light shadow wings appeared. Those light shadow wings shook the void, and this foreign being's speed immediately increased greatly. Lin Feng couldn't help but frown slightly. This guy had quite a lot of tricks up his sleeve. In the forest, many people discovered a scene that left them incomparably shocked. A young human cultivator was actually chasing after a foreign being all over the world. A foreign being, what kind of terrifying existence was that? Now, many people would take a detour when they saw a foreign being. They didn't dare to start a conflict with a foreign being at all. But Lin Feng, a young human cultivator, was actually chasing after a foreign being. It was truly inconceivable. Countless people were discussing this matter. In the end, above a valley, Lin Feng caught up to this foreign being, and the two sides engaged in a great battle. After more than 10 rounds, Lin Feng found an opportunity to send this foreign being flying with a palm. Chapter 4088. Lin Feng did not directly kill the alien because Lin Feng wanted to learn some things from the alien. It was not easy to capture an alien. So Lin Feng naturally would not let go of the opportunity to interrogate the alien. "I can give you endless wealth, but please spare my life." After being suppressed, the alien looked at Lin Feng with a gloomy expression. This fellow was actually begging Lin Feng for mercy. Said Lin Feng, "Tisk tsk, it's rare to see a cowardly creature like you. I only have one life, so I naturally have to cherish it. If I don't cherish my own life, who will cherish mine? You've seen through things quite clearly. Lin Feng looked at the alien in astonishment. Of course, no matter what you want me to do, I will cooperate with you. Please don't kill me. He, not killing you. That's impossible. Lin Feng sneered. You can't kill me. You can't kill me. When the alien heard that Lin Feng wanted to kill him, he was on the verge of breaking down. This fellow's emotions fluctuated greatly. Lin Feng was deliberately provoking him in order to cause this fellow's emotions to fluctuate, and then he would find an opportunity to search this fellow's soul. You aliens can wantonly slaughter the cultivators of our universe, so why can't we kill you? All aliens deserve death. Lin Feng sneered, continuing to provoke this fellow. The alien said loudly, "What does this have to do with me? I am a creature born from this universe. Even though my ancestors were foreign creatures, in reality, that was something from a long, long time ago. Countless years ago, my ancestors came from the other side. They did something wrong and have already been punished. And what they did has nothing to do with us. Our race has already lived in this universe for many great eras. Although we still look like otherworldly creatures, we have long taken root here. You can't blame me for the mistakes my ancestors made. You are a wise and powerful person. You definitely won't do something like killing the innocent, right?" Lin Feng sneered. "Flattery is useless. If you want to blame someone, you can only blame your ancestors for being too cruel." As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Feng raised his hand, as if he wanted to kill the alien with a slap. The foreign creature's emotions became more and more stirred up. He shouted loudly, "Spare me! Spare me! I beg you to spare me! I don't want to die." Lin Feng put his hand on the foreign cultivator's head. Lin Feng didn't kill him in one strike. Instead, he used a soul-searching technique on the foreign cultivator's head. He wanted to see if there were any secrets hidden in his soul. However, very quickly, Lin Feng realized that the soul of the foreign cultivator was very special. The memories in his soul were covered by a dense fog. No matter how hard Lin Feng tried, he could not search the memories in his soul. Lin Feng could not help but frown. This fellow's soul was really strange to the extreme. Lin Feng stopped and looked at the alien with an uncertain expression. The alien could not help but let out a sigh of relief. He discovered that Lin Feng had just searched his soul, but Lin Feng had failed. As long as he was useful, the alien knew that he would not die. What he feared the most was that he would become useless, which meant that Lin Feng would succeed in searching his soul. At that time, he would undoubtedly die. "Young master, the souls of our race are very special. Others cannot search our souls. However, as long as young master does not kill me, I can tell you anything," the alien hurriedly said. Lin Feng could not help but frown slightly. If this alien was a creature from another universe, even if he could not search his soul, Lin Feng would not hesitate to kill this fellow with a palm. However, this fellow was not a creature from another universe. He was just the descendant of a certain creature from another universe. Lin Feng felt that this reason could make him spare his life. Of course, Lin Feng originally wanted to kill this fellow, who asked this fellow to be the descendant of a foreign creature. But now, if he wanted to know some secrets, he indeed needed to spare his life. Lin Feng said, "All right, I'll give you a chance to live. What do I ask? Just answer." "Yes, yes, yes." The alien hurriedly nodded. How could he dare to disobey Lin Feng? Wouldn't that be courting death? "Are you a foreign cultivator or a cultivator from Erisima?" Lin Feng asked. "I'm a foreign cultivator." The alien hurriedly said, "How many people do you have in your clan?" Lin Feng continued to ask. "My clan has a total of 24 people. The strongest one is an ancestor who's a loose immortal. The alien said. Lin Feng was surprised. That guy had an ancestor who was an independent celestial cultivator. That clan was terrifying. However, when he thought about how this clan was the descendant of a foreign creature, it did not seem inconceivable that they would have a loose immortal patriarch. After all, their clan had a very strong foundation. As if worried that Lin Feng would misunderstand that their clan had done many outrageous things, the alien hurriedly said, "Our clan has long since completely integrated into this universe. Our clan has always abided by the law of the jungle and the survival of the fittest. Although we have had conflicts with other factions, we have never done anything too outrageous." Hee, don't be so full of yourself. It's easy to be slapped in the face. Lin Feng mocked. This foreign creature said, "Everything I said is the truth. What kind of world is the outerverse?" You know? Lin Feng asked. This was a topic that Lin Feng was very concerned about. It was also a topic that Lin Feng was very curious about. He only knew that the alien creatures had come to this universe from the outerverse. However, the situation in the outerverse was filled with endless mysteries to Lin Feng. Lin Feng had always wanted to know more about the outerverse, but no one knew. Even the demon lord did not know much about the outerverse. Basically, only the alien creatures knew about the outerverse. Chapter 4089. The creature didn't dare to hide anything from Lin Feng. When he heard Lin Feng ask about the outerverse, he quickly nodded and said, "I do have some understanding of the outerverse." "Then tell me about the outerverse." Lin Feng's eyes lit up. The creature said, "It's said that we can view the latitude of these ancient universes as a three-dimensional space, and within this latitude there are many universes. The universe we're in now is one of the universes in this latitude. Do you understand what I'm saying?" The term latitude was very new to Lin Feng, but Lin Feng could generally understand the meaning of the creature's words. He nodded and said, "I understand. Please continue." Humans are divided into yin and yang, and all things are divided into yin and yang. It's said that the universe is also divided into yin and yang, just like how our universe is divided into the Eastern and Western universes. The place we're in now is the Eastern universe. Within the latitude, there are extremely strict requirements for the division of space. It's said that the distribution of the universes in the latitude has to follow the principles of the Great Tao's distribution, which is what we call yin and yang. The distribution of the four divisions has to form a special cycle in order to maintain the balance of the entire latitude. According to the information I received from my elders, there are a total of 4 known universes in this latitude. Hearing this, Lin Feng couldn't help but be shocked. Originally, Lin Feng thought that the place they were in was one universe, and outside this universe was another universe. There were 2 universes between heaven and earth, but now he knew that this understanding was wrong. There were 4 universes between heaven and earth. Lin Feng didn't interrupt and continued to listen. The creature continued. Among these 4 universes, the one we're in now is called the 9 States universe. 9 States universe? Why is this universe named after 9 states? Lin Feng asked, puzzled. This is because the 9 prefectures is the starting point of the universe. It is said that before the Big Bang, the universe was in chaos. In the chaos, there was an ancient continent called Jiuzhou. After the Big Bang, Jiuzhou was blown apart. Then Jiuzhou evolved into various worlds, such as the 3,000 macro worlds, and so on. The Jiuzhou macro world was the starting point left behind after the Big Bang. This is also the reason why the Jiuzhou macro world gave birth to so many experts. However, as time passed, the Jiuzhou macro world has declined. Lin Feng nodded. If what the foreign creatures said was true, then the legend of Pangos splitting heaven and earth could not be believed. Of course, from the beginning to the end, Lin Feng had never believed in the legend of Pangos' creation of the world. He had always treated such legends as stories. Lin Feng asked, "What are the other three universes?" The foreign creature said, "Originally, the universe where my ancestor lived was called the Nirvana universe. It is said that the living conditions in that universe are incomparably bad, so bad that it is unimaginable." Is that the origin of the term Nirvana universe? Lin Feng asked. The foreign creature nodded and said, "It's like this. That Nirvana universe represents death and suffering. Perhaps it's because the living conditions there are too harsh, so the creatures in that universe are very powerful." The foreign creature continued, "As for the other two universes, one of them is called Kunlun." Kunlun. Lin Feng raised his eyebrows slightly. He felt that this name was a little strange. When he read it, Lin Feng's heart throbbed. Kunlun is the oldest universe of the four universes. The foreign creature said, "The beginning of the universe is Kunlun." It is said that in the latitude space, the four universes were originally one, and this one was Kunlun. Later on, the four universes of the latitude space also completed their differentiation. From 1 to 4, it was actually Kunlun that split into 4 universes. Although they were differentiated, the largest universe was still the original Kunlun universe. It is said that among the 4 universes, the one that is most similar to Kunlun is Jiuzhou. Regardless of culture, geography, race, etc., the Jiuzhou universe and Kunlun universe are very similar. What is the 4th universe? Lin Feng asked curiously. It is said to be called the Time Universe. The foreign creature said with some uncertainty. "You don't seem to be sure of the name of this universe?" Lin Feng asked. The foreign creature said, "It's like this, because this universe is a little strange. It is said that the outside of the universe is completely enveloped by the power of space-time, and no one can enter it. Later on, someone named it the Time Universe, but no one knows the exact name. The Time Universe is not what that universe is called, but what outsiders call it." "I see." Lin Feng nodded. After hearing the foreign creature's words, Lin Feng finally had a more comprehensive and detailed understanding of the outerverse. Now, Lin Feng knew how vast this world was. Even in the Jiuzhou universe, Lin Feng had only been to a very small area. Lin Feng did not even know where the Western universe of the Jiuzhou universe was. He did not know if he would have the chance to go to the Western universe before the end of the era. Lin Feng guessed that it would be very difficult to find such an opportunity. Of course, if he did not have the chance to go to the Western universe, Lin Feng would definitely go to the Western universe to see what it was like. He also wanted to go to the Western universe to see what the God, true Lord, and other existences in the Western universe were like. "Does your race still remember the method to go to the outer verse?" Lin Feng asked. The foreign creature smiled bitterly and said, "I don't remember it for a long time. My ancestor also mistakenly entered the 9 provinces universe. After arriving here, it took him a long time to realize that this wasn't the original universe. When he went back to look for that passage, that crack in the void had already closed. Since you did not hide anything from me, I will spare your life. You must do evil, or else you will be killed without mercy," said Lin Feng. He waved his hand and removed the seal on the foreign cultivator's body. "Thank you for sparing my life, young master. I will definitely be a kind person in the future." The foreign creature hurriedly expressed his gratitude. Chapter 4090. Phew, seeing Lin Feng leave, the foreign creature could not help but let out a sigh of relief. He was finally safe. Then, this foreign creature became gloomy. He secretly sighed at how unlucky he was to have provoked such a powerful expert like Lin Feng. The human race was weak. Why was this guy a human cultivator? And he was so young, so powerful. The foreign creature could only blame all of this on his bad luck. This world is really full of crouching tigers and hidden dragons. The foreign creature could not help but sigh with emotion. Then he flew into the depths of the ancient forest. This time, he had heard about the true dragon's skeleton, so he wanted to come here to try his luck. True Dragon Lake. Located in the central region of the Heavenly South Ancient Forest, this lake was very large. It was surrounded by bloody mist all year round. Some cultivators said that the true dragon's skeleton might be under the True Dragon Lake. The True Dragon Lake was very dangerous. There were countless restrictions here. Many cultivators had already arrived, but they all stopped at the periphery of the True Dragon Lake and did not rashly enter the True Dragon Lake. This place was indeed incomparably dangerous. Although he had not entered the True Dragon Lake, Lin Feng could already feel the destructive power of some of the terrifying restrictions. How did the news of the True Dragon's skeleton spread in the first place? Someone asked curiously. He wanted to know how the news of the True Dragon's skeleton spread, and who spread it. Someone said, in the beginning, someone said that they heard a dragon's roar in the Heavenly South Ancient Forest. Then, someone saw the True Dragon's skeleton soar into the sky and let out a sorrowful cry. Then, the True Dragon's skeleton rushed into the ancient forest and disappeared. Since this place is called the True Dragon Lake, it might be related to the True Dragon skeleton. Lin Feng heard some cultivators say that they could not be sure if the True Dragon skeleton was really under the True Dragon Lake. Everything was just speculation. Not long after, another cultivator said, the True Dragon Lake. The reason it's called the True Dragon Lake is because a true dragon fell here, so it became the True Dragon Lake. Is there any evidence to prove this? Someone asked. In the past, I saw an introduction in a Tao scripture, but is the content written in the Tao scripture true? I can't guarantee it. The cultivator said. Some people were already unwilling to continue waiting and planned to enter the True Dragon Lake to explore. Danger lurked in every corner of the True Dragon Lake. However, in the eyes of many cultivators, which place of fortune would not be filled with danger. Swish, swish, swish. Many cultivators had already begun to fly into the True Dragon Lake. Soon, those cultivators disappeared from everyone's sight. The blood mist in the True Dragon Lake blocked everyone's vision. Visibility was extremely low. More and more cultivators entered the True Dragon Lake, including Lin Feng. All kinds of restrictions flew over. It swept towards Lin Feng's body, but Lin Feng successfully dodged it. There were many terrifying restrictions here. If one was hit by one of those restrictions, it would be disastrous. The consequences would be unimaginable. Roar. At this moment, a dragon's roar came from the depths. After hearing the dragon's roar, everyone's spirits were suddenly lifted. Was that the cry of a true dragon? It seemed that this might really be the place where a true dragon was buried. Many people sped up. However, along the way, not everyone was able to withstand the attacks of the restrictions. Lin Feng saw that many cultivators were attacked by powerful restrictions and died miserably. If one wanted an opportunity, they would have to take risks. Once they took the risk, many people would definitely die miserably. Lin Feng was already used to this kind of thing. He went all the way in. Suddenly, a Buddhist light appeared in front of him. Amidst the Buddhist light, an old monk walked over step by step. Amitabha, the sea of bitterness is boundless. Turn back and be saved. The old monk stopped the cultivators who entered the lake. Currently, there were already hundreds of powerful cultivators gathered in the lake. Every cultivator, their bodies emitted a suffocating aura. The cultivators who were able to reach the depths of the lake were all extraordinary. Their cultivation base. It was as if they were gods and ghosts. But now, when everyone faced the old monk, their expressions were solemn because the old monk's aura was too terrifying. Old monk, you're not human. You're a corpse. You're already dead, and you can't even turn back. How are you going to save us? At this moment, a Taoist priest sneered. The Taoist priest's methods were extraordinary. He saw through the old monk's identity. The Taoist priest's words caused an uproar because cultivators who could see through the old monk's true body were as rare as phoenix feathers and Qilin horns. His laughter was too terrifying. It was even more unpleasant than the laughter of a malicious ghost. Then, an endless black fog gushed out from the old monk's body. Within the black fog, it exuded a suffocating aura. This aura was too frightening, causing others to feel their hair stand on end. Look, in the lake. Someone pointed at the lake and said in a deep voice. Everyone looked over and saw that the lake was constantly bubbling. Then, numerous corpses floated out of the lake. The entire lake was filled with corpses. Many people felt their scalps go numb. Why were there so many corpses in the lake? This is a place where living beings are buried. Have you heard of a pit of 10,000 people? This is not just a pit of 10,000 people, but a pit of 1,000,000 people. In the past, 1,000,000 gods and devils fought and were defeated and killed here. The old monk said. Everyone was horrified. Was what the old monk said true? 1,000,000 gods and devils should be in existence from the era of titled gods, right? What did they fight for? Everything was unknown. Let's go. Some people were frightened and did not want to stay here any longer. They wanted to leave as soon as possible. This group of cultivators was not small. They flew outside. However, there were also many people who did not leave. It was just a bunch of corpses. They were powerful and fearless, with so many cultivators gathered together. How could they not deal with a mere corpse? Old monk, since you've become a corpse, you should cultivate properly. If you block our path, we'll destroy your soul. Do you believe me? The Taoist priest sneered. As a Taoist priest, his methods were extraordinary. Moreover, Taoists and Buddhists had always been at odds with each other. If it wasn't for the fact that he was wary, he would have attacked the old monk long ago. Keek, ignorant fool. You're about to die, yet you still dare to talk big, the old monk said sinisterly. Whoosh, whoosh. Chapter 40:91. When all the corpses opened their eyes, the entire lake seemed to have turned into the netherworld. It was too scary. Roar. A beast-like roar suddenly reverberated between heaven and earth. The corpses soared into the sky and pounced towards the cultivators in the air. Run! Many cultivators cried out in horror, wanting to leave this place as soon as possible. The lake was too scary. So many corpses had revived. They could not stay in this place any longer. Hurry! Hurry! Old Lord Taishang, show yourself. But at this moment, the old monk couldn't help but roar. Then he took out a yellow talisman. He then chanted an incantation, and the yellow talisman burned. A special energy was emitted from the yellow talisman. That special energy poured into the void. At this time, something amazing happened. Everyone found that the Densine corpses had disappeared without a trace. After seeing this scene, everyone's face couldn't help but reveal an expression of disbelief. What was going on? Those corpses, how did they disappear without a trace? This was too unbelievable. But all of this was real. Those existences had indeed disappeared without a trace. Although it was somewhat inconceivable and unimaginable, it was indeed what had happened before their eyes. That was an illusion. This old monk is the one who pulled us into an illusion. The Taoist priest said. Illusion? Everyone was shocked. At this moment, they could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. The old monk's illusion was too realistic. Even Lin Feng did not realize that the scene just now was an illusion. Even he thought that everything was real. What about the others? Once they fell into the other party's illusion, they would be trapped in the space created by the other party. They would not be able to extricate themselves from the illusion and would definitely die. Everyone thanked the Taoist priest profusely. The Taoist priest said, "Let's attack together and get rid of this old monk." Everyone nodded. They planned to attack together and get rid of this old monk. The old monk might have been a benevolent, holy monk when he was alive, but now that he had turned into a Yin corpse, he was incomparably evil. They had to get rid of this old monk. Otherwise, who knew what terrible things would happen? Just as everyone was about to attack the old monk laughed sinisterly again. Keek keek, keek keek, keek keek. His laughter was very penetrating, and everyone felt dizzy. This time, the old monk used a sound wave attack. Sound wave attacks were considered soul attacks and could cause severe damage to a cultivator's soul. This time, even the Taoist priest seemed to have suffered a calamity. He kept patting his head. At this moment, a majestic voice resounded between heaven and earth. Endless Buddhist light gushed out, protecting everyone. This allowed the cultivators who had suffered soul attacks to break free from the pain. This was the swastika mantra of the 6 syllables of Buddhism. It was a supreme divine ability that Lin Feng had used. Bang! After the powerful sound wave formed by the 6-syllable mantra shattered the old monk's sound wave attack, the powerful force bombarded the old monk's body. The old monk was instantly sent flying. The Buddhist karma surged into the old monk's body. Suddenly, a shocking scene appeared. The old monk's body turned into a golden skeleton. This old monk was really an eminent monk when he was alive. Only eminent monks who had attained the Tao would turn into golden skeletons after they died. It was just like the golden skeleton in Lin Feng's Chonglu Devil Palace. However, this golden skeleton couldn't be compared to the golden skeleton in Lin Feng's Chonglu Devil Palace in any way. This was because the difference in their cultivation when they were alive was greater. After all, the golden skeleton in Lin Feng's Chonglu Devil Palace belonged to one of the 7 ancient Buddhas of Buddhism. Naturally, other eminent monks of Buddhism couldn't be compared to it. Swastika mantra, brat, go to hell. After the old monk reverted to his original form, he roared angrily. Then he quickly pounced on Lin Feng. Kill him together. Lin Feng shouted, "Kill!" The densely packed cultivators shouted coldly. Then, everyone activated their supreme treasures, or used their powerful supernatural powers to attack the golden skeleton that the old monk had transformed into. The golden skeleton that the old monk had transformed into was incomparably terrifying. However, it now had to face the attacks of hundreds of people, including Lin Feng. It was impossible for him to block everyone's attacks with his strength alone. The attacks of so many cultivators directly turned into a torrent of attacks. They bombarded the golden skeleton that the old monk had transformed into, and directly bombarded the golden skeleton that the old monk had transformed into. Kacha kacha! The golden skeleton that the old monk had transformed into couldn't withstand the joint attack of everyone, and was directly sent flying. Then, body in midair, dismembered directly. After seeing this scene, Lin Feng and the others smiled. However, in the next moment, the dismembered skeleton actually reassembled quickly and flew into the depths. In the blink of an eye, it had disappeared without a trace. Chase! Lin Feng and the others quickly chased after it. However, They couldn't find the golden skeleton that the old monk had transformed into. At this moment, the water in the entire lake started to flow violently. A whirlpool appeared. Originally, the whirlpool was only about 1 meter in diameter. However, as time passed, the whirlpool became bigger and bigger. An unimaginably terrifying power was emitted from the whirlpool. Not long after, a huge whirlpool that covered thousands of square meters appeared. A terrifying, devouring power surged out of the whirlpool. That devouring power, it was heading towards Lin Feng and the others to devour them. It wanted to devour Lin Feng and the others directly. Not good. Hurry up and leave the whirlpool's range. Many cultivators shouted in horror. They could feel the terror of this whirlpool. Below the whirlpool, there seemed to be a terrifying existence that was hibernating. Everyone quickly rushed outside. However, at this moment, something terrifying happened. Blood-colored energy whips flew out of the whirlpool. Those blood-colored energy whips were unknown. They directly wrapped around the ankles of the cultivators. Then, the blood-colored energy whips pulled the cultivators into the whirlpool. Some cultivators quickly took out their magic treasures, wanting to cut off the blood-colored energy whips. However, as soon as they took out their magic treasures, Chapter 4092, one cultivator after another was pulled into the whirlpool by the blood-colored energy whips. No, no, no! Many cultivators screamed in fear. The unknown was the most terrifying. Everyone didn't know much about the blood-colored whirlpool. So, at this moment, their hearts were filled with fear of the blood-colored whirlpool. Lin Feng slashed out several sword chi. Those sword chi slashed at the blood-colored whips. The sword chi pierced through the blood-colored whips. However, the moment the blood-colored whips were pierced through, a mass of blood-colored energy surged out and directly engulfed Lin Feng. The next moment, Lin Feng was swallowed by the blood-colored whirlpool. A terrifying force crushed over, trying to destroy Lin Feng's body. Around him, banging sounds could be heard. One cultivator's body directly exploded, turning into the purest blood-colored energy. When he saw those cultivators die, Lin Feng felt that something was wrong. Even if the other party wanted to kill them, there was no need to turn their bodies into pure energy, right? And Lin Feng saw that the pure energy was surging towards the depths. Lin Feng activated his devouring martial soul. The devouring black hole spun. A powerful devouring force surged out and directly swallowed the terrifying blood-colored energy that enveloped his body. Then, the blood-colored energy was refined into pure energy source by Lin Feng and then absorbed by his body. Lin Feng beat them at their own game and planned to go deeper to see what was going on. He landed in the lake. Then he saw a huge dragon lying at the bottom of the lake. The huge dragon had a grayish-brown body. Its body emitted a sinister and terrifying aura, the energy that those cultivators turned into after they died. All of them were swallowed by the huge dragon. Corpse dragon! After seeing the huge dragon, Lin Feng couldn't help but be shocked. It was a corpse dragon. Strictly speaking, it was equivalent to a Yin corpse. The legend of the dragon was true, but the dragon here wasn't a real dragon. It was a corpse dragon. Kill it! The Taoist shouted in a deep voice. He summoned an immortal sword and slashed at the corpse dragon. At this moment, there were about 100 cultivators still alive. Everyone else had already fallen. Everyone summoned all kinds of magic treasures or unleashed powerful divine abilities to attack the zombie dragon. Despicable ants, go to hell! The zombie dragon roared. It opened its bloody mouth and spat out energy balls one after another at the cultivators. The zombie dragon's energy balls were extremely powerful. It contained a terrifying power that could destroy the world. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The zombie dragon's energy ball exploded. All of a sudden, destructive energy swept through the world, surging out. Its power was unimaginably terrifying. The magic treasures unleashed by the cultivators were blown away, and the divine abilities they unleashed were destroyed by the energy balls spat out by the zombie dragon. The zombie dragon was simply too powerful. His combat strength, it was heaven-defying to the point of causing others to be aghast. That was only the zombie dragon's first wave of attack. Soon, it unleashed its second wave of attack. The zombie dragon's second wave of attack was still the same terrifying energy balls. One by one, the energy balls shot towards the cultivators. Horrified, the cultivators hurriedly summoned their defensive magic treasures to block the attack, but it wasn't an easy task. The zombie dragon's energy balls were simply too powerful. Many of the cultivators' defensive magic treasures were instantly destroyed by the energy balls spat out by the zombie dragon. Then, the cultivators were blasted to death by the zombie dragon's attacks. Their deaths were extremely gruesome. After several rounds of attacks, only 2 cultivators were left alive. One of them was Lin Feng, and the other was the Taoist. The rest had all died under the zombie dragon's attacks. The zombie dragon sucked in a large mouthful, instantly devouring the energy source of the cultivators' deaths. Ha 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 ha, after absorbing the energy source of these cultivators, I'm one step closer to regaining my vitality. The zombie dragon laughed loudly. The zombie dragon was still an corpse. Corpses had many restrictions, such as being afraid of daylight, sunlight, and so on. No matter how powerful these creatures were, they could only live in a dark environment. They couldn't easily appear in a world illuminated by sunlight. That was why they moved at night. But if these corpses could give birth to a new life force within their bodies, then they could live like normal people. With the passage of time, when the life force in their bodies became stronger and stronger, they could even complete the transformation of their bodies. At that time, they would no longer be corpses. They would become new living beings. Their blood would no longer be cold, but warm. Their bodies would no longer emit a foul stench, but the bodies of normal living beings. The zombie dragon's previous appearance was to lure cultivators here, then devour them to help it complete its transformation. As long as the transformation was successful, the zombie dragon would be able to leave the lake. When the time came, it could be reborn. Let's kill it together. The Taoist looked at Lin Feng and said, "All right." Lin Feng nodded gravely. There was no other way now. If they didn't kill the zombie dragon, they would be killed by it. Lin Feng summoned 4 stone swords. The 4 stone swords floated above Lin Feng. With the protection of the 4 stone swords, Lin Feng moved towards the corpse dragon. The Taoist summoned an 8 trigrams diagram. It was obviously a Taoist treasure with great power. The Taoist also charged at the zombie dragon. "Lowly ants, you want to deal with me? How laughable! Even though my cultivation has fallen, I'm still not someone that ants like you can contend against." The zombie dragon sneered, then reached out with its enormous claws and attacked Lin Feng and the Taoist. The dragon's claws blotted out the sky, leaving Lin Feng and the Taoist with nowhere to run. Killing intent flashed in their eyes as they urged their treasures to break the zombie dragon's claws. Clang, 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 clang. Lin Feng's stone swords slashed at the zombie dragon's claws. Clang, 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 clang. It sounded as if they were slashing at magic treasures. Lin Feng knew he was in trouble when he heard the clang. The zombie dragon had cultivated its body into a magic treasure. just like the heretic Dominator Saint, who had cultivated his body into a magic treasure. The heretic Dominator Saint never used magic treasures against his enemies, because his body was the most powerful magic treasure. The Taoists' 8 trigrams diagram also slammed into the zombie dragon's claws. Like Lin Feng's stone swords, it couldn't break through the zombie dragon's defense. Chapter 4093. When Lin Feng was swallowed into the corpse dragon's stomach, Lin Feng discovered that not only was the corpse dragon's body hard on the outside, but its insides were also incomparably hard. Lin Feng commanded the 4 stone swords to slash at the walls of the corpse dragon's body. Clang, 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 clang. The corpse dragon's body. It was a little too hard. This was a manifestation of the extreme cultivation of Yin corpses. When a Yin corpse reached the peak of cultivation, there was no longer any blood or internal fluids in its body. These things had completely fused with the flesh and bones of the body. The flesh and bones of the body had turned into stone. Therefore, the flesh and bones of the body, it would become incomparably hard, just like the situation that Lin Feng was in right now. A large amount of sinister and terrifying energy suddenly emanated from the corpse dragon's body. The energy was constantly eroding Lin Feng's body. The corpse dragon wants to refine me? Lin Feng raised his brows slightly. The sinister and terrifying energy was clearly under the corpse dragon's control, which was why it was surging toward Lin Feng. Now that Lin Feng was being swallowed by the corpse dragon, it would definitely think of a way to refine Lin Feng. Lin Feng was at his wit's end. Now that he was trapped in the corpse dragon's body, he would die sooner or later if he couldn't get out. Therefore, he had to think of a way to leave. However, for now, Lin Feng hadn't thought of a way to leave the corpse dragon's body. His situation was extremely bad. Roar! Suddenly, a dragon's roar came from Lin Feng's space-time domain. The dragon's resonant roar came from Xiaolong. The little fellow had awakened from its slumber. Swoosh! Before Lin Feng could summon Xiaolong, it flew out of the space-time domain on its own. Flapping its wings, it hovered in front of Lin Feng. Xiaolong's body was like a ball of sun. When the sinister and terrifying energy surged over, it was instantly dispersed by the heat radiating from Xiaolong's body. "Little fellow, why did you come out?" Lin Feng looked at Xiaolong and asked, puzzled. "Eat, eat, eat." Xiaolong looked at Lin Feng with his big round eyes and said in a childish voice, "What would you like to eat?" Lin Feng asked doubtfully. Xiaolong was still too young, and his ability to organize his speech was not particularly strong. After hearing Lin Feng's question, the little guy said in a childish voice, "Eat, eat, eat." It was still the same 3 words. Little Dragon was much younger than Bibi and Dragon Rabbit. It was too young, so it only knew how to say these 3 words at the current stage. However, the little dragon knew where the food it wanted to eat was. After saying that, the little guy flapped its wings and flew forward. Lin Feng followed behind Xiaolong and rushed forward. The corpse dragon's abdomen was so huge that it was like an independent space, and it was pitch black. It was hard to tell which was which. However, Xiaolong had his own goal. The little guy's speed was extremely fast, and it didn't take long for him to stop at one of the inner walls. "Eat, eat, eat," Xiaolong cried out excitedly. "Is it here? Is there something you want to eat here?" Lin Feng pointed at the area, then looked at Xiaolong and asked. Xiaolong quickly nodded. Lin Feng summoned more than a dozen powerful magic treasures. Then he urged those magic treasures to attack the corpse dragon's body. Clang, clang, clang. The corpse dragon's body was too tough. The magic weapons bombarded the corpse dragon's body, producing a series of clanging sounds, but they couldn't break the corpse dragon's defense at all. This guy was too strong. when he was alive. So after his death, his body turned into a Yin corpse. He became so tyrannical. However, Lin Feng was not to be trifled with. Under the continuous bombardment of so many magic treasures, the corpse dragon's body finally couldn't take it anymore. Crack! 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 The corpse dragon's body began to crack. Since its body had become like a rock wall, its flesh and blood would not fly everywhere. Xiaolong saw that the corpse dragon's body began to crack, and it immediately cried out in joy. Lin Feng was about to destroy the corpse dragon's body in one go, but at that moment, dense runes appeared on the corpse dragon's body. Those runes contained extremely terrifying power. When Lin Feng's magic treasures attacked the corpse dragon's body again, they were immediately blocked by those runes. No matter how powerful Lin Feng's magic treasures were, they could not break through those runes. Corpse dragon's runes. Lin Feng frowned. Those were runes condensed by the corpse dragon itself, and they were very powerful. Breaking through the corpse dragon's runes was as difficult as ascending to heaven. However, Lin Feng did not give up. He continued to urge many powerful magic treasures to attack the corpse dragon's runes fiercely. However, to Lin Feng's disappointment, his magic treasures were still unable to break through the corpse dragon's runes. At that moment, the corpse dragon's damaged body was rapidly recovering. Eat, eat, eat. Xiaolong immediately became anxious, and the little guy suddenly flapped its wings. Xiaolong flapped its wings faster and faster. At first, it only formed a few wind blades that slashed at the corpse dragon's runes. Xiaolong was still young. Its attacks naturally could not destroy the corpse dragon's runes. However, not long after, then something shocking happened. Xiaolong's body actually turned purple. Xiaolong's wings also turned purple. When Xiaolong flapped its wings within Xiaolong's wings, purple energy blades flew out one after another. Those purple energy blades contained mysterious runes. It was Lin Feng's first time seeing those runes. However, Lin Feng had a feeling that those runes were also dragon runes. Those dragon runes were a type of mysterious dragon runes that Xiaolong had mastered. Xiaolong was so young, yet it had already mastered such powerful dragon runes. It was simply inconceivable. Xiaolong's origin had always been a mystery, but its innate talent was indeed somewhat inconceivably strong. When the purple energy blades slashed at the corpse dragon's runes, Lin Feng discovered that the corpse dragon's runes actually began to tremble violently. The corpse dragon's runes were unable to withstand the purple energy blades that Xiaolong's wings swept out. What a powerful purple energy blade! Not only did it cause tremendous damage to the corpse dragon's runes, but it also seems to have a racial advantage over the corpse dragon's runes. Lin Feng couldn't help but take a deep breath. He cooperated with Xiaolong, urging more than a dozen powerful magic treasures to attack the corpse dragon's runes. Crack, crack! The corpse dragon's runes immediately cracked. Not long after, the corpse dragon's runes exploded, and the purple energy blades swept out from Xiaolong's wings, swept across the corpse dragon's body. Chapter 4094. The Dragon Crystal. Lin Feng couldn't help but exclaim when he saw the black energy crystal. The black energy crystal contained an extremely powerful energy. It was the zombie dragon's energy source. At least 60 to 70% of the dragon's energy was concentrated in the dragon crystal. No wonder the dragon was so excited. It had sensed the dragon crystal's existence. Lin Feng grabbed a stone sword and dug out the dragon crystal. Because Xiaolong had continuously sent out purple energy blades, the energy consumption within Xiaolong's body was extremely high. The little guy was almost unable to float in the air. It was almost exhausted, but when it saw the dragon crystal, it was extremely excited. The dragon crystal had a very significant effect on the dragon's growth. It could help the dragon's cultivation improve rapidly. It could even awaken its ancestors' memories and awaken all kinds of bloodline abilities. It could also help the dragon grow and evolve quickly. Lin Feng sent the dragon and the dragon crystal back into the space-time continuum. At this time, a series of angry roars came from outside. "My dragon crystal, you lowly ant! How dare you dig it out of me?" The zombie dragon roared furiously. It stood up and shook its body. Lin Feng couldn't stand still inside the dragon's body. He was swayed from side to side by the zombie dragon. At this time, a powerful force surged and wrapped around Lin Feng, as if trying to throw Lin Feng out. Lin Feng quickly put away his magic treasures. Lin Feng had just put away his magic treasures when a powerful force suddenly threw Lin Feng out. Lin Feng flew out of the zombie dragon's bloody mouth. "Give me back my dragon crystal." The zombie dragon roared furiously and stretched out its huge claws to grab Lin Feng. Previously, the zombie dragon had devoured the energy sources of so many cultivators to increase the energy of the dragon crystal. Only when the energy in the dragon crystal increased to a certain level could it complete the transformation. But now that Lin Feng had dug out the dragon crystal, there was no need to talk about the transformation. Zombie dragon hated Lin Feng to the bone. Just as the zombie dragon's huge claws were about to grab Lin Feng, a light flashed. Lin Feng suddenly disappeared without a trace. In the next moment, Lin Feng appeared 300 meters away. At the critical moment, Lin Feng used the heaven patching technique to dodge the zombie dragon's attack. "Despicable ant. You think you can escape?" The zombie dragon roared furiously. Its mountainous body soared into the sky and chased after Lin Feng. Even though the zombie dragon had lost its dragon crystal and its battle prowess had dropped significantly. However, the strength of the zombie dragon was there for all to see. The zombie dragon still possessed an almost heaven-defying combat strength. The combat strength that the zombie dragon possessed could only be described as shocking. After its huge body stretched out, it gave people an unparalleled sense of oppression. The zombie dragon opened its bloody mouth and blasted one energy ball after another at Lin Feng. The energy balls blotted out the sky and covered the earth. There was no way to avoid them. After sensing the terrifying power of the energy balls, Lin Feng didn't dare hesitate. He hurriedly took out the ruler's armor. He used the ruler's armor to protect his body. At the same time, the energy balls exploded. Rumble, rumble, rumble. With an earth-shaking boom, the energy balls exploded. The destructive energy blasted Lin Feng's body. Although he was wearing the ruler's armor, a supreme treasure with astonishing defensive power, Lin Feng felt that all the bones in his body were broken. He was bleeding from all 7 orifices. The crazed zombie dragon was simply an existence that couldn't be resisted. Fortunately, the ruler's armor protected Lin Feng. Otherwise, it would have been too dangerous for him to face the attack of the crazed zombie dragon. Zombie dragon, sky breaking claw, accompanied by a deep roar. The zombie dragon's huge claw viciously swiped at Lin Feng. Lin Feng tried to use the Great Death Substitution technique to dodge the claw, but Lin Feng found that the zombie dragon's attack had sealed off the surrounding void. It caused Lin Feng to fail in using the divine ability. Danger! 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 The situation was extremely dangerous. Lin Feng couldn't help but reveal an extremely grave expression. Just as the zombie dragon's attack was about to hit Lin Feng, at that moment, a cultivator appeared in front of Lin Feng. The cultivator couldn't help but shout in the face of the zombie dragon's attack. Merciful and compassionate palm, boundless Buddhist light, surged out. The being that had suddenly appeared and clashed with the zombie dragon's claw. Although the being had dispelled the zombie dragon's claw, he was also sent flying by the zombie dragon's claw. The being was strong, but there was still a gap between him and the zombie dragon's combat strength. Lin Feng took the opportunity to quickly retreat. When he saw the person who had attacked him, his face was full of shock. Lin Feng never expected that the person who had attacked him would be the old monk who had been beaten up by everyone and then fled. "Why are you here?" Lin Feng looked at the old monk in shock. He didn't expect the old monk to appear here. The old monk said, "Amit Ba, excellent, excellent. Where there is darkness in the world, there will be the power of justice to maintain world peace." After hearing the old monk's words, Lin Feng almost spat out a mouthful of blood. This old monk was quite narcissistic. Lin Feng said, "Since you're here to help me, it means that you're not on the zombie dragon's side. When you chased us away earlier, it was out of goodwill, right?" The old monk said, "Of course." Lin Feng asked, "Why don't you make it clearer?" The old monk said, "How many people in this world can see clearly? If you're greedy, what's the point of making it clearer? But if you wanted to chase us away, why did you kill us?" Lin Feng asked. The old monk had killed some people earlier, but he hadn't killed many. "If I can scare off the rest by killing a small number of people, I can save the majority. This is kindness and virtue." Lin Feng was shocked. Every word the old monk said contained the truth. "Old bald donkey, how dare you interfere with my affairs? You're courting death. This kid is going to die today. And you, old bald donkey, are going to die by my hands." The zombie dragon roared angrily. After its roar, a large amount of corpse energy emanated from the zombie dragon's body. The corpse energy, it seemed to blot out the sky. Zombie dragon space. The zombie dragon's cold and sinister voice was heard. The corpse energy actually condensed into a space. Chapter 40, 95. "Kid, I'll be the main attacker later. You support. Let's kill this zombie dragon together." The old monk said. Lin Feng felt that the old monk seemed to be peeping at the zombie dragon's body. Thinking about it, the zombie dragon was so powerful. At its peak, it was much stronger than the old monk. If the old monk devoured the zombie dragon, then the old monk's combat strength should be greatly improved. So, it was normal for the old monk to peep at the zombie dragon's body. The old monk appeared to save him, but it was not entirely to help him. The old monk should have been hiding in the dark. Then, in the dark, seeing that his strength was not ordinary, he appeared in time to save him, wanting to join forces with him to deal with the zombie dragon. Killing the zombie dragon was also what Lin Feng wanted to do. Lin Feng's thoughts coincided with the old monk's. He said, "All right, there's no time to lose. Let's end this quickly." The old monk also agreed with Lin Feng's suggestion. The current situation was extremely unfavorable for them, because this was the zombie dragon space. In the zombie dragon space, the zombie dragon's combat strength would obviously be greatly improved. The only thing to be thankful for now was that the zombie dragon's dragon crystal was dug away by Lin Feng. If the zombie dragon's dragon crystal was still there, then Lin Feng and the old monk did not need to continue fighting with the zombie dragon at all. They could just surrender after losing the dragon crystal. Although the zombie dragon was still very powerful, Lin Feng and the old monk joining forces was not completely unable to fight the old monk. Evil vanquishing sword. The old monk shouted in a low voice and directly took out a treasure sword. It was a treasure sword imprinted with countless Buddhist patterns. Obviously, that treasure sword should be a Buddhist supreme treasure. The old monk held the treasure sword in his hand, and instantly the Buddhist patterns on the treasure sword seemed to come to life. An earth-shaking sound resounded between heaven and earth. The voices were so loud that even the deaf could hear them. It was like the divine sound of the heavenly Tao. It resounded in all directions. The power of that treasure sword was absolutely unimaginable. Moreover, the supreme treasure of Buddhism was extremely powerful against evil ghosts. The zombie dragon was an Een corpse, which happened to be restrained by the old monk's evil vanquishing sword. Lin Feng took out the black dragon sword. With the black dragon sword in hand, he charged at the zombie dragon. Lin Feng began to try to awaken the black dragon sword's artifact spirit. When the black dragon sword's artifact spirit awakened, the power of the black dragon sword, he would reach the peak for a short time. When the time comes, the power of the black dragon sword was completely released. It was absolutely terrifying beyond imagination. 100,000 divine thunders. The zombie dragon roared. Within the space of the corpse dragon, bolts of divine lightning shot towards Lin Feng and the old monk. Those divine thunders were rather special. They contained an unimaginable destructive power. Lin Feng and the old monk didn't dare to underestimate them. At this moment, the old monk shouted, "Namo Amitabha, ancient Buddha light shield. Protect me." As soon as the old monk finished speaking, an endless amount of golden light surged out of his body. Then, 7 ancient figures appeared within the golden light. The 7 ancient figures were the 7 ancient Buddhas. 7 ancient Buddhas. All of them sat cross-legged and recited Buddhist scriptures. As their voices rang out, a large golden energy shield emerged. That large golden energy shield enveloped Lin Feng and the old monk. When the dense divine lightning struck, the golden energy shield immediately blocked the attack of the divine lightning. Lin Feng was shocked. This old monk had a very powerful technique. The golden defensive shield he condensed was really powerful. Lin Feng didn't dare to delay and hurriedly summoned the black dragon sword's artifact spirit. The old monk took the lead and flew in front of the zombie dragon. "Damn bald donkey, go to hell." The zombie dragon roared, stretched out its huge claws, and attacked the old monk. The old monk's body turned into a golden stream of light. At that moment, the old monk's speed reached an unbelievable level. Relying on his lightning-fast speed, the old monk dodged the zombie dragon's huge claws that were attacking him. He quickly rushed towards the zombie dragon's head, wanting to pierce through it. But at this moment, 2 cold beams of light shot out from the zombie dragon's eyes, which contained endless killing intent. The 2 beams of light pierced through heaven and earth and arrived in front of the old monk in an instant. Even the old monk couldn't withstand the attack of the zombie dragon's eyes. Bang! Bang! The zombie dragon's eyes fiercely bombarded the old monk. With a dull sound of collision, the old monk's body was directly sent flying. Unable to withstand the attack of the zombie dragon's eyes, his body exploded in midair and shattered. However, at this time, Lin Feng had already rushed to the zombie dragon's side. Roar! The artifact spirit of the black dragon's sword awakened and let out a high-pitched dragon roar. Lin Feng sensed the terrifying power surging out of the black dragon sword. After the artifact spirit of the black dragon sword awakened, its power greatly increased. As for Lin Feng himself, he held the black dragon sword in his hand and used the man descending from the heavens, an unparalleled divine ability that could slay immortals with one strike. Lin Feng and the black dragon sword became one. He turned into a dazzling beam of killing light and rushed in front of the zombie dragon in an instant. Lin Feng knew that the zombie dragon's head was too hard. Although he was now one with the sword and activated the power of the black dragon sword, Lin Feng wasn't sure if he could break the zombie dragon's defense. there was a high chance that he would fail. Therefore, when Lin Feng turned into a dazzling beam of cold light and rushed at the zombie dragon, his target was not the zombie dragon's head, but the weakest part of the zombie dragon. The zombie dragon originally had two weaknesses, one of which was its reverse scale. The reverse scale of the dragon was the weakest part, but ever since it turned into a Een corpse, the zombie dragon's reverse scale had long been trained to be invulnerable. Therefore, Lin Feng gave up on attacking the reverse scale of the zombie dragon. There was only one target left, which was the zombie dragon's eyes. However, it was extremely difficult to attack the zombie dragon's eyes. This was because sometimes a weakness was often an advantage. For example, the zombie dragon's eyes were its own weakness, but also the place where it could release its strongest attack. When Lin Feng turned into a cold beam of light and attacked, the zombie dragon's eyes swept out terrifying beams of light one after another. Lin Feng turned into a sword light and kept dodging the zombie dragon's eyes, but he still couldn't completely avoid them. Lin Feng was hit by one of the zombie dragon's eyes. His body flew backward and returned to his original body from the state of a cold beam of light. However, before Lin Feng could stabilize his body, the zombie dragon's huge tail had already whipped at Lin Feng. Lin Feng wanted to avoid the attack of the zombie dragon's tail, but he couldn't. A muffled sound of collision was heard. Chapter 4096. Damn it, this guy is too strong. Lin Feng's expression turned extremely gloomy. The zombie dragon's power was beyond imagination, and this was even after its dragon crystal had been taken away. The old monk didn't die after his body exploded. His body quickly reassembled, but he didn't continue to take human form. Instead, he turned into a golden skeleton. We're no match for this guy, even if we join forces. It seems that we can only think of a way to escape, Lin Feng said helplessly. If he could kill the zombie dragon, Lin Feng would definitely think of a way to do so without hesitation. However, the current situation was extremely unfavorable for them. The old monk didn't seem to want to leave, but they really had no way to deal with the zombie dragon. In the end, he said helplessly, "Then we'll think of a way to break out of here." Break out? What a joke. You're trapped in my space. Do you think you can break out of here just because you wanna? You're delusional. The zombie dragon said disdainfully. Lin Feng and the old monk ignored the zombie dragon and quickly flew toward the barrier of the space. The two of them then began to attack the barrier, hoping to destroy it. However, they tried several times. In the end, they failed. It seemed that destroying the barrier of the zombie dragon space was indeed a very difficult task. At this moment, the zombie dragon began to chant a mysterious incantation. As soon as the mysterious incantation was uttered, the inside of the space suddenly emitted waves of violent fluctuations. The fluctuations were so abnormally terrifying that they shocked everyone. Then, one giant dragon after another appeared in the corpse dragon space. Waves of destructive energy emanated from the bodies of the dragons. It was formed from hundreds of dragons. All of them pounced on Lin Feng and the old monk. It's the evil dragons of the zombie dragon space. The old monk's expression turned gloomy. These evil dragons were formed from the inside of the zombie dragon space after fusing with the zombie dragon's evil thoughts. They were extremely evil. Their strength was extremely tyrannical. The old monk felt that things were getting troublesome. Lin Feng also felt the danger. He had to think of a way to solve the crisis in front of him. Otherwise, he and the old monk would die without a burial place. Lin Feng was very clear about this. Lin Feng suddenly had a flash of inspiration. He thought of the remains of the ancient Buddha, the skeleton in the Chonglu Devil Palace. It was the skeleton left behind by one of the 7 great ancient Buddhas after his death. that skeleton was extremely terrifying and contained a monstrous divine might. Lin Feng was still unable to unleash the true power of the skeleton, but the old monk was an eminent monk of Buddhism. Perhaps he had the ability to release the power of the ancient Buddha skeleton? Of course, Lin Feng didn't know much about the old monk. Moreover, the old monk was at Yin corpse. Lin Feng was somewhat afraid of the old monk. If possible, Lin Feng did not want to expose the matter of the ancient Buddha's bones to the old monk. But now, Lin Feng couldn't care less anymore. Now that he was on the verge of death, he had to deal with the crisis before him first. Swoosh! Lin Feng waved his hand, and the ancient Buddha skeleton immediately flew out. He let out a long whistle and said, "Senior, I obtained this ancient Buddha skeleton by chance. It's very powerful. Perhaps we can use this ancient Buddha skeleton to destroy the corpse dragon." The old monk looked at the ancient Buddha skeleton. The golden flame in his eyes suddenly jumped violently. The old monk was shocked. Then he revealed an extremely excited expression. He was experienced and knowledgeable. He should have recognized the origin of the ancient Buddha skeleton. Ha ha ha! With this ancient Buddha skeleton, we can turn the tide of this battle. The old monk suddenly laughed loudly. He put his palms together and chanted, "Namo Amitabha." Then golden light shone brightly. He was surrounded by the golden light and looked very sacred. The old monk stepped forward. In the next moment, his body merged with the ancient Buddha skeleton. When the old monk's body merged with the ancient Buddha skeleton, Lin Feng immediately felt an unimaginably terrifying power surging out of the ancient Buddha skeleton. It was as if a titan from the primordial era had awakened from a deep slumber. Shock, emotion, disbelief, and incredulity. The ancient Buddha skeleton began to chant an incantation. A world in a grain of sand, a Bodhi in a leaf. There are billions of Taoists in heaven and earth. There is only Buddha in my heart. When this majestic and loud voice came out, endless Buddhist lights gushed out from the ancient Buddha skeleton. These Buddhist lights were like a tide rushing towards the surroundings. The dragons were drowned by the golden Buddhist light. They let out sorrowful cries. Those dragons, they were struggling violently. They wanted to break free from the tide formed by the Buddhist light, but they failed. The dragons immediately vanished into thin air. When the tide formed by the Buddhist light slammed into the crystal wall of the corpse dragon's space, even the crystal wall of the corpse dragon's space started to crack. "Go to hell!" The corpse dragon roared furiously and began to chant an incantation using a draconic divine ability. In an instant, divine abilities blotted out the sky and blasted toward the ancient Buddha skeleton. "Million Buddhas greeting." The ancient Buddha skeleton roared and struck out a palm. Between heaven and earth, there was only that huge palm left. The huge palm slammed forward, shattering all the divine abilities cast by the corpse dragon. Then the huge palm slammed hard on the corpse dragon's body. Bang! The sound of a violent collision was heard. The corpse dragon was sent flying by the ancient Buddha skeleton's million Buddhas greeting. The divine ability of million Buddhas greeting was so powerful that the already cracked space of the corpse dragon could no longer withstand the energy fluctuations emanating from the million Buddhas greeting. The space completely collapsed. Divine mountain quakes all demons in a flash. The ancient Buddha skeleton let out a long howl and once again condensed a powerful divine ability. A huge divine mountain appeared and descended from the sky, suppressing the corpse dragon. "You want to suppress me? Dream on." The corpse dragon roared. The corpse dragon roared and swept its huge tail towards Godly. "Empty Godly, empty 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 Godly, empty, godly, empty divine mountain quakes fell from the sky and suppressed the corpse dragon in the void. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. As soon as the corpse dragon was suppressed, the 4 stone swords flew in front of the corpse dragon under Lin Feng's control. Then, the 4 stone swords instantly pierced through one of the corpse dragon's eyes and flew into the spacetime's head. They then found the place where the corpse dragon's soul was hiding and attacked it directly. The souls of these corpses were not strong, and so was the corpse dragon. The 4 stone swords destroyed the corpse dragon's soul in an instant. Chapter 4097. The corpse dragon was finally killed. Lin Feng heaved a sigh of relief. Swoosh! With a flash of light, the old monk and Lin Feng's ancient Buddha skeleton separated. Then, the ancient Buddha skeleton flew into the Chonglu demonic palace. The old monk said, "Benefactor, name a price for this ancient Buddha skeleton. No matter what the price is, this poor monk will buy it." The ancient Buddha skeleton was very important. Lin Feng would never use the ancient Buddha skeleton to trade with the old monk. Before taking out the ancient Buddha skeleton, Lin Feng was worried that the old monk would remember it. Now, it seemed that he still couldn't escape the fate of being remembered by the old monk. Lin Feng said, "The ancient Buddha skeleton is already intertwined with my fate. I can't take it out for a trade. I hope Senior can forgive me." The old monk naturally didn't believe Lin Feng's words. The old monk said, "A Buddhist immortal scripture for your ancient Buddha skeleton. How about it?" A Buddhist immortal scripture? Lin Feng was shocked. It was really attractive, especially since the Buddhist immortal scripture was different from the immortal scriptures of other factions. The Buddhist factions had always been very mysterious. The Buddhist orthodoxies were rarely passed down. The outside world didn't have a special understanding of the Buddhist orthodoxies. The old monk's Buddhist immortal scripture would definitely be very attractive to anyone. Even Lin Feng was very interested in the Buddhist immortal scripture that the old monk was talking about. However, Lin Feng knew that the price he had to pay to get the Buddhist immortal scripture from the old monk was too high. Lin Feng was naturally unwilling to trade the ancient Buddha skeleton for the Buddhist immortal scripture. Lin Feng naturally didn't want to do this business, putting aside the powerful strength of the ancient Buddha skeleton. Let's talk about the secrets hidden in the ancient Buddha skeleton. It was also very shocking. Perhaps in the future, as Lin Feng's research on the ancient Buddha skeleton became more and more profound, he might be able to obtain a few Buddhist immortal scriptures from the ancient Buddha skeleton. This wasn't impossible. Immortal scriptures are like floating clouds to me. Lin Feng said. The old monk said, "Almsgiver, you must be joking. Anyone who wants to constantly improve themselves needs to cultivate a powerful immortal sutra. Almsgiver, your talent is outstanding. If you obtain the immortal sutra, your cultivation speed will definitely increase greatly." Lin Feng said faintly, "To put it bluntly, I don't lack immortal sutras." The old monk continued, "No wonder Benefactor is so indifferent. Apart from the immortal scripture I promised to give you, I can also tell you where the 3rd generation fire god's legacy is. What do you think?" The first fire god was Zhu Rong. As for the other generations of Vulcan, Lin Feng had no idea. However, these fire gods were all titled gods. Their strength was unimaginably terrifying. If, to be able to obtain the legacy of the 3rd generation fire god, to any cultivator, this was a heavenly opportunity. However, Lin Feng had already made up his mind. No matter what this old monk offered him, he would not trade with this old monk. The remains of the ancient Buddha were too important. He would regret it sooner or later. Lin Feng said, "Perhaps I'll disappoint you. I have no intention of exchanging the remains of the ancient Buddha with you." Almsgiver, since you don't know what's good for you, I can only kill you." The old monk's gaze suddenly turned cold. Then he stretched out his large hand and grabbed at Lin Feng. "You really turn hostile, just like that. A een corpse is a een corpse. You're no longer the holy monk from before." Lin Feng's expression was indifferent. He threw a punch at the old monk's attack. Bang! Both sides collided fiercely. Then they both retreated hundreds of meters away. Lin Feng withdrew his stone sword and quickly retreated. He looked at the old monk indifferently and said, "No matter what the reason is, since you helped me once, I won't lower myself to your level." As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Feng quickly flew up. As for the old monk, he quickly chased after Lin Feng. His speed was still a little slower than Lin Feng, so Lin Feng shook him off. In the end, the old monk gave up and returned to the depths of the lake. After leaving the lake, Lin Feng continued to fly towards Ning City. A month later, Lin Feng finally arrived at Ning City. Ning City was bustling with noise and excitement. A large number of cultivators came in and out. However, after arriving at Ning City, Lin Feng felt a stifling atmosphere. Perhaps it was the internal strife of the Ning family that caused this stifling atmosphere. After resting for a day in Ning City, Lin Feng went to the Ning family to look for Guan Guan. After so many years, he did not know how Guan Guan was doing. The Ning family mansion was built in the depths of Ning City, covering thousands of acres. As expected of a top family, the mansion was magnificent. When he arrived outside the Ning family mansion, Lin Feng was stopped by the guards. "This is an important place of the Ning family. Unrelated people, leave quickly or you will be killed," the leader of the guards said coldly. Lin Feng flicked his finger and thousands of immortal stones flew out. The leader of the guards hurriedly kept the immortal stones. "Help me pass the message. Say that Lin Feng is here to see her." Lin Feng said. The leader of the guards smiled and asked, "Young master, please wait for a moment. I will send someone to inform Miss Guan Guan." The leader of the guards was about to send someone into the mansion to pass the message. At this moment, more than 10 cultivators riding on strange beasts rushed over. These people stopped at the entrance of the mansion. The group of guards hurriedly bowed to these cultivators. The leader of the group was a young master with extraordinary strength. Even though he was far away from Lin Feng and the rest, he could still hear the conversation between Lin Feng and the leader of the guards. He glanced at Lin Feng indifferently and asked, "Who are you? Why do you want to see Guan Guan?" Lin Feng said, "I am her friend." "Friend? I should have known. Since Guan Guan's father is a lowly human cultivator, her friend must be a lowly human cultivator as well. How despicable. This lowly human friend of a lowly human cultivator actually came to our Ning family. This is a great insult to our Ning family." The young master sneered with an extremely arrogant expression. He did not take Lin Feng seriously at all. Moreover, his words were filled with contempt and humiliation for the human race. With Lin Feng's current state of mind, it was rare for him to get angry. However, he was infuriated by this young master. That was because this young master had not only humiliated the human race and him, but he had also insulted Guan Guan. Guan Guan was one of Lin Feng's favorite women. This young master had actually dared to insult Guan Guan. This had touched Lin Feng's reverse scale. "Do you know you have committed a crime punishable by death? Kneel. Kneel before me. Slap yourself in the face. Or else I will cripple you." Lin Feng looked at the young master with an indifferent expression. When they heard Lin Feng's words, everyone was stunned. No one had expected Lin Feng to say such words. They were in front of the Ning family mansion. Lin Feng, a foreign cultivator, actually dared to ask the young master of the Ning family to kneel and slap himself in the face? Chapter 4098. Lin Feng's words were so arrogant that the surrounding air seemed to have frozen for a long time. Everyone looked at Lin Feng as if they were looking at a dead man. In their opinion, Lin Feng was courting death for daring to humiliate Ning Xiuyu like this. Ning Xiuyu was the name of this young man. He was a member of the Great Elder's lineage. His talent was good, and with the help of the clan, he was now an imperial emperor. Since the great change of the world, it was not difficult to break through to the emperor realm. Therefore, many emperor realm experts had emerged. The Great Elder's lineage and the clan leader's lineage had been fighting openly and secretly. Guan's background was criticized by the Great Elder's lineage since the decline of the human race. Many races looked down on the human race. There was a historical reason for this. The innate human race was once incomparably glorious. The success of the innate human race was envied by countless forces. As time went by, except for a limited number of races, the rest of the innate human race had declined. After becoming the current human race, those forces might have found something they could be proud of, trampling the former experts under their feet and humiliating all of them would give them a sense of pleasure. This was also the reason why so many forces were arrogant. Boy, do you know what you are talking about? Ning Shiyu's eyes flashed with killing intent. Someone dared to humiliate him like this. Someone dared to be so arrogant in front of him. Ning Shiyu. This was the first time he had experienced such a thing. Now, Ning Shiyu had an impulse to tear Lin Feng into pieces. What? Don't you understand human language? Looks like I overestimated your intelligence. Lin Feng said indifferently. His words humiliated Ning Shiyu once again. Ning Shiyu was trembling with anger. Ning Shiyu thought he was arrogant enough, but after seeing Lin Feng, he realized how humble he was. A strong dragon could not suppress a snake in its old haunts. However, all of this seemed to be untenable in front of Lin Feng. Catch this boy for me. I'm going to cut this brat into pieces. Ning Shiyu waved his hand gloomily. Yes, sir, immediately. More than 10 cultivators around Ning Shiyu answered. These people pounced on Lin Feng like wolves and tigers. A bunch of ants dare to make a move against me? Did he eat a bear's heart or a leopard's gall? Lin Feng's gaze turned cold. Next, his body emitted a terrifying aura. That aura, it pressed down on the group of cultivators. Lin Feng's terrifying aura enveloped those cultivators. The cultivators were all sent flying. Kacha-kacha. The bones in his body were broken by the terrifying aura emitted from Lin Feng's body. There were many people. In midair, he coughed up large mouthfuls of blood. He fell to the ground. He began to convulse violently. Lin Feng's body swayed. The next moment, he had already arrived in front of Ning Shiyu. He raised his right hand and slapped toward Ning Shiyu. Slap. Before Ning Shiyu could even react, he was sent flying by Lin Feng's slap. Barf! In midair, Ning Shiyu spat out a large amount of blood. There were even many of Ning Shiyu's teeth mixed in the blood. I'm going to kill you. Ning Shiyu roared angrily, and his eyes turned blood red. When had he ever suffered such humiliation? Now that Lin Feng had slapped him, he felt even worse than if he had been slapped by Lin Feng. Ning Shiyu roared directly and then quickly rushed toward Lin Feng. Lin Feng raised his right hand and swept out a sword chi. Whoosh! The sword chi flew directly toward Ning Shiyu. With a puff, the sword chi directly penetrated Ning Shiyu's dantian. Ning Shiyu screamed miserably and fell down from midair. My dantian, my dantian! Ning Shiyu's face was full of horror and despair. His dantian, it was crippled by Lin Feng. Ning Shiyu turned from a powerful cultivator into a cripple in an instant. The conflict here naturally attracted a lot of cultivators to watch. When those cultivators saw Lin Feng crippled Ning Shiyu, they all had a look of disbelief on their faces. Lin Feng was just a foreign cultivator, but he crippled the young master of the Ning family in front of the Ning family mansion. He was simply provoking the Ning family. Did he not take the Ning family seriously at all? Many people felt that it was unbelievable. They didn't know what Lin Feng was thinking. Although Lin Feng's strength might be very strong, he was just a young cultivator after all. No matter how strong he was, there was a limit after all. Now, he had completely offended the Ning clan. The Ning clan was not a kind person. Lin Feng. At this time, a surprised voice came. Lin Feng looked over and saw Guan Guan. It turned out that when the guard leader saw the conflict between Lin Feng and Ning Shiyu, he hurriedly sent someone to inform Guan Guan. The guard leader took 1,000 immortal stones from Lin Feng, so he still did something useful. Originally, he thought that if Guan Guan could come in time, she should be able to save Lin Feng's life. But who would have thought that Lin Feng was so powerful that he could cripple Ning Shiyu so easily? Before the guard leader could recover from the shock, Guan Guan had already rushed over. After seeing Lin Feng was fine, Guan Guan let out a long sigh of relief. Guan Guan's long black dress wrapped around her beautiful and alluring body. Her delicate and beautiful face had a faint, charming temperament. Anyone who saw this beautiful face would feel a rush of excitement. After seeing Guan Guan, Lin Feng was very happy. He had missed Guan Guan all these years. Guan Guan was one of Lin Feng's favorite women. Of course, her position in Lin Feng's heart was very different. Hey, isn't that Goddess Guan Guan? This is interesting. That boy is actually Goddess Guan Guan's friend. Goddess Guan Guan is a member of the Patriarch's lineage, while Ning Shiyu is a member of the Grand Elder's lineage. Both sides are like fire and water. I wonder what will happen next. I guess that boy will quickly escape Peace City with Goddess Guan Guan's help, right? Otherwise, the Grand Elder's lineage will not let him go. Yes, this is the only way to survive. Even if he escapes Peace City, he must be on guard against being found by the Grand Elder's lineage. If he is found by the Grand Elder's lineage, he will also die. Chapter 4099. Guan Guan, you little b****, TCH. Your friend caused me to be in such a miserable state. He's dead. He will be cut into pieces, and you won't have a good end. After seeing Guan Guan, Ning Shiyu suddenly cursed loudly. Ning Shiyu was full of hatred. Even Guan Guan was hating him. He spoke viciously, and his eyes were full of resentment. A disabled person dares to say so many reckless words. You're courting death. Lin Feng waved his sleeve. Bang! An invisible force swept Ning Shiyu's body fiercely, and Ning Shiyu's body was immediately swept out. Crack! Crack! The sound of bones cracking came out, and many bones in Ning Shiyu's body were directly broken. Ning Shiyu vomited blood and fell to the ground, completely motionless. No one knew whether he was dead or alive. This person is really fearless. Many people sighed. Lin Feng wasn't afraid of the heavens and the earth. In the eyes of the surrounding cultivators, Lin Feng did things without caring about the consequences. Now, even if Guan Guan protected him, she might not be able to protect herself. Seeing that Ning Shiyu was beaten half to death by Lin Feng and his cultivation was destroyed by Lin Feng, Guan Guan's joy of seeing Lin Feng was diluted a lot. Now she was very worried about Lin Feng's safety. Guan Guan said, Ning Shiyu is the grandnephew of the First Elder. Now that this person has been destroyed, the First Elder's family will definitely not let it go. Now, I'll send you out of Ning City. You can't stay in Ning City anymore." Lin Feng smiled and said, "I'm here to see Auntie. Of course I won't go anywhere. Take me to see Auntie." Guan Guan said worriedly, "It's not too late to see Mother after this matter is solved." Lin Feng smiled and said, "I know you are worried about my safety, but you don't have to worry. I know what I'm doing." With that, Lin Feng walked toward the Ning family mansion. Seeing Lin Feng's confident look, Guan Guan was actually very worried. She knew that Lin Feng was powerful and had many means. However, the key point was that Lin Feng didn't know how powerful the Ning family's great elder's lineage was. Guan Guan understood Lin Feng very well. Once Lin Feng made a decision, it would be very difficult for others to change Lin Feng's mind. Seeing Lin Feng walk towards the Ning clan, Guan Guan couldn't help secretly thinking in his heart, if the head elder's lineage really sent people to come and make things difficult for Lin Feng, when the time came, she would beg the patriarch for help. After thinking about this, Guan Guan breathed a sigh of relief in her heart. She quickly chased after him and entered the Ning mansion with Lin Feng. Damn, that brat didn't listen to Fairy Guan Guan's advice and insisted on entering the Ning mansion. Is that kid out of his mind? Not only did he not leave Ning City, but he even entered Ning Mansion. Is he walking right into a trap? You are courting death. Courting death. That brat was courting death. Just wait and see. That brat is definitely dead. Seeing Lin Feng enter the Ning Mansion, the surrounding cultivators started to discuss. In their opinion, Lin Feng was simply courting death. Now that he had entered the Ning Mansion, wouldn't he become a turtle in a jar? Did that brat think that Fairy Guan Guan could protect him? Fairy Guan Guan was just a junior. How could she protect him? Many people thought that once Lin Feng entered the Ning Mansion, he would never be able to leave. Lin Feng would definitely die. Lin Feng naturally didn't hear what the cultivators outside were saying. Guan Guan was guiding him. Under Guan Guan's guidance, Lin Feng entered the Ning Mansion. Along the way, Guan Guan had a worried look on her face. Obviously, she was still worried about Lin Feng's safety. Lin Feng grabbed Guan Guan's jade-like hand and said, "Girl, don't worry. I don't care about the head elder's lineage." After hearing Lin Feng's arrogant words, Guan Guan smiled bitterly. She said, "There are several Emperor Lord level experts in the Ning family's great elder's lineage. I know. In front of me, the Emperor Lord is just an ant or a dog. With a flick of my finger, I can kill an Emperor Lord." Lin Feng said. Hearing Lin Feng's words, Guan Guan could only smile bitterly. She only felt that Lin Feng was comforting her. Guan Guan naturally didn't believe that Lin Feng could kill an Emperor Lord level expert with a flick of his finger. Emperor Lord! That was an existence below the immortal realm who had cultivated to the extreme. A cultivator of this level. His combat strength was too heaven-defying. Although Lin Feng's talent was extraordinary, his strength was powerful, and he had many magic treasures. However, after all, Lin Feng was too young. No matter how strong his talent was, without enough time to cultivate, his talent couldn't be realized. So, Guan Guan was filled with worry. But Guan Guan knew that she couldn't persuade Lin Feng. Now, she could only take it one step at a time. Under Guan Guan's lead, Lin Feng came to a villa called Launching Garden. This was the place where Guan Guan's mother and Guan Guan lived. Guan Guan's mother had a very high status in the family, and it was said that she was entrusted with an important task by the clan leader. This was because the clan leader's bloodline had withered. Among Guan Guan's uncles, there were originally two who were extremely outstanding. But later, the two uncles were killed one after another when they went out to train. Therefore, there was no one in the middle generation who could hold the fort. So, Guan's mother was pushed to the front. Along the way, there were many servants shuttling back and forth. When everyone saw Guan, they all bowed to her. After Lin Feng and Guan left, the servants began to discuss softly. They were all discussing Lin Feng's identity. Their young miss had never brought any man to Lanxin Garden. But now, she brought Lin Feng to Lanxin Garden. Her purpose was obvious, so everyone was very curious about Lin Feng's identity. Who exactly was Lin Feng? He actually captured Guan's heart. Under Guan's lead, Lin Feng came to a purple bamboo forest. They entered the purple bamboo forest. In the depths of the purple bamboo forest, there was a bamboo house. Outside the bamboo house, there were more than 10 middle-aged female cultivators guarding. "Young miss, you're back." Seeing Guan's arrival, the leading middle-aged female cultivator bowed. Guan nodded and said, "I'm bringing a friend to see mother." "I'll report for young miss," the leading middle-aged female cultivator said. At this moment, a voice came from the second floor of the bamboo house. "No need to report. Come up." This voice sounded as cold as the moon, with a feeling of being thousands of miles away. Was it a natural temperament, or was it that she didn't welcome him? Lin Feng was also a little apprehensive. He was now a son-in-law meeting his mother-in-law. Even though he was used to seeing storms, he was actually a little nervous at this moment. The reason why he was nervous, it was because he cared. "Let's go up." Guan gave Lin Feng a beautiful smile. Chapter 4100. Lin Feng followed Guan to the second floor. When they arrived, Lin Feng saw two cultivators, a man and a woman. The female cultivator looked to be in her 30s. She had fair skin and a beautiful face, but her beautiful face was cold. She was completely the image of an ice beauty. That woman was obviously Guan's mother. Guan's mother was called Ning Lanxin. It was said that Guan seemed to have a misunderstanding with her father when she was young. Since then, they lived separately. Their relationship hadn't improved yet. The other cultivator was an old man with a white beard. This old man had a deep aura and was obviously an extremely powerful figure. "Mother." Guan bowed to Ning Lanxin first, then to the old man. "Senior Tian Xingzi." "No need to be so polite," the old man said with a smile. "Hello, Auntie." "Hello, Senior. I'm Lin Feng." "I'm Guan's man." Lin Feng first bowed to the two of them, and then introduced himself. Obviously, no one present expected Lin Feng to introduce himself like that. Who would introduce themselves like Lin Feng when they went to their mother-in-law's house and met her for the first time? However, Lin Feng did that. Therefore, the three people present were all stunned. When she came back to her senses, Guan's face flushed red. Guan was usually a fairy-like woman, but when she encountered such an unconventional way of introducing herself, she was at a loss for a moment. Ning Lanxin's pretty face turned slightly cold. She might have guessed the identity of Lin Feng and Guan. However, a daughter was the apple of her mother's eye. It wasn't easy to entrust one's daughter to someone else. Lin Feng's introduction clearly told them that Guan was already his woman. Ning Lanxin suddenly felt as if Lin Feng had snatched away her most precious thing. It would be strange if she was nice to Lin Feng. Ha ha ha. Young people are really unique. The old man noticed the subtle change in the atmosphere and said with a smile. This old man was called Tian Xingzi. He was the strongest rogue cultivator in the heavenly south planet. She had always been close to Ning Lanxin. Ning Lanxin looked at Lin Feng and asked, "Are you also a cultivator from the 9 states?" "Yes." Lin Feng nodded. Jiuzhou seems to only have some mediocre forces left. Ning Lanxin said calmly. He seemed to have underestimated Lin Feng. Lin Feng chuckled. Since ancient times, heroes have always come from the lowly. Since ancient times, bears have mostly come from aristocratic families. Are you mocking the big clans? Ning Lanxin said coldly. I didn't mean that. I just wanted to tell Ani that background isn't the most important thing. Lin Feng said. But most of the time, it's also important to pay attention to the matching social status. The bigger the force, the more powerful it was. The more you care about it, the more you care about it. Ning Lanxin said. After hearing Ning Lanxin's words, Guanguan also became nervous. She felt that her mother was not very satisfied with Lin Feng. Moreover, he didn't seem to like Lin Feng very much. As a daughter, it was really difficult to be sandwiched between two sides. Guanguan wanted to say something, but Ning Lanxin waved her hand to stop her. Ning Lanxin looked at Lin Feng and asked aggressively, "Do you think I'm right?" Lin Feng said, "There is indeed such a thing as matching social status. Auntie, you're very lucky to have found a son-in-law like me. If I tell you my identity, I'm afraid you'll be scared out of your wits." Hearing that, Tian Xingzi shook his head helplessly. He felt that the young man in front of him was really ignorant and full of nonsense. He was too self-righteous. Tian Xingzi was quite dissatisfied with Lin Feng. He didn't even know why such an outstanding person like Guanguan would fancy Lin Feng. Even Tian Xingzi wasn't satisfied with Lin Feng, let alone Ning Lanxin. Arrogant, Ning Lanxin looked coldly at Lin Feng. She had seen countless people in her life and had seen many geniuses. However, she had never seen anyone as arrogant as Lin Feng. Lin Feng smiled and said, "Auntie, don't be angry. If you know what I'm capable of, you won't think that I'm arrogant anymore." "What are you capable of?" Ning Lanxin sneered. Would people who were really strong be like Lin Feng and blow their own trumpet? Ning Lanxin thought. He definitely wouldn't blow his own trumpet like that. Only those who didn't have any real ability would like to blow their own trumpet. My son-in-law is very capable now. He's cultivating immortality and can kill Imperial Lord-level cultivators with just a thought. He also has dozens of Imperial Lord-level powerhouses under his command. Stop! Before Lin Feng could finish, Ning Lanxin hurriedly stopped Lin Feng. She really couldn't take it anymore. There had to be a limit to bragging, right? Lin Feng's bragging was too exaggerated. Even Guan looked like she was about to cry. Can you stop bragging? Keep bragging. Mother is probably going to chase him away. At this moment, a terrifying aura came from outside. Ignorant brat! How dare you cripple my son? I'm going to tear you into pieces today. A furious roar suddenly came. This is the madam's resting place. Everyone, stop. Then, the middle-aged female cultivator in the lead spoke. Ning Lanxin, hand that brat over. That brat crippled my son. If anyone dares to stop me from killing that brat, I, Ning Tianyuan, will fight them to the death. The voice outside was filled with murderous intent. What's going on here? Ning Lanxin asked in confusion. Guanguan said worriedly, Mother, Ning Xuanyu was arrogant and insulted me earlier. Brother Feng crippled Ning Xuanyu to stand up for me. Mother, please help Brother Feng. If you don't, Brother Feng's situation will be extremely dangerous. Ning Lanxin's expression softened a little when she heard that Lin Feng did it to protect Guanguan's reputation. However, when she thought of Lin Feng's arrogance earlier, Ning Lanxin was still angry. She looked at Lin Feng and said, "Didn't you boast that you can kill an emperor-level powerhouse with a flick of your finger? The person outside is only a holy emperor. I'd like to see how you're going to deal with him. If you can't handle him, you can come and beg me. If you beg me, I can consider helping you once for Guan Guan's sake." "Ha ha ha." Lin Feng laughed. "What are you laughing at?" Ning Lanxin asked in confusion. Lin Feng said, "He's just a holy emperor. Usually, a cultivator of this level isn't even qualified for me to deal with. However, today's situation is a little different. Since this person wants to die, I'll fulfill his wish." Ning Lanxin and Tian Xingzi's lips twitched when they heard Lin Feng's arrogant words. A holy emperor was a terrifying existence, but Lin Feng was not qualified for him to deal with. Chapter 4101. Ning Lanxin and Tian Xingzi's cultivation were not weak either. Both of them were at the peak of the Sage Emperor realm. They had hopes of entering the Emperor realm. Both of them knew how difficult it was to cultivate to the Sage Emperor realm. Therefore, they naturally thought that Lin Feng was bragging. They were not the only ones who thought so. Even Guan Guan thought so too. Guan Guan had not been separated from Lin Feng for many years. The last time he parted with Lin Feng, although Lin Feng's combat strength could already compete with many Emperor realm cultivators, Lin Feng was only at the peak of the quasi-emperor realm after all. Although Lin Feng's talent was outstanding, it had only been a short time. Even if Lin Feng had broken through to the emperor realm, his current realm was probably not particularly profound. Therefore, it was inevitable that Guan Guan was worried about Lin Feng. Lin Feng said, "I'll be able to deal with the guy outside soon. You guys can wait for me here." With that, Lin Feng walked outside. The three of them did not stay in the room, but followed Lin Feng out. After seeing Lin Feng walk out, Ning Tianyuan's eyes were filled with killing intent. However, he did not attack directly. Instead, he looked at Ning Lanxin. Ning Tianyuan said coldly, "Ning Lanxin, don't interfere with my affairs. If you interfere with my affairs, you'll be my enemy." Ning Lanxin said indifferently, "Do you think you're sure to win? Maybe I don't need to interfere. You're not this kid's match either." After hearing Ning Lanxin's words, Ning Tianyuan's face turned green with anger, because he felt that Ning Lanxin's words were full of contempt and disdain for him. After all, he was just dealing with a young junior. Was he not a match for him? However, in Ning Lanxin's opinion, he did not seem to be a match for this junior. This made Ning Tianyuan extremely angry. Humph! Ning Tianyuan could not help but snort coldly. He did not continue to pay attention to Ning Lanxin. Instead, he directly attacked Lin Feng. "Little bastard, cripple my son. I want your life." Ning Tianyuan's cold voice rang out. Then Ning Tianyuan stretched out his hand and slapped towards Lin Feng. Suddenly, a gigantic palm of energy appeared in the void. When Ning Tianyuan's terrifying palm slapped over, Lin Feng said disdainfully, "You dare to show off your insignificant skills in front of me? I only need one move to deal with a small fry like you." Lin Feng's words were incomparably arrogant. Ning Tianyuan's face became extremely gloomy after hearing that. It was fine to be despised by Ning Lanxin. After all, Ning Lanxin was a peak holy emperor. However, now, a junior like Lin Feng actually dared to look down on him like this, causing Ning Tianyuan to go mad with hatred. Ning Tianyuan was even wondering if he would kill Lin Feng directly after capturing Lin Feng. Instead, he wanted to torture Lin Feng. Only by torturing Lin Feng until he wished he was dead, and then killing Lin Feng, would he be able to vent the hatred in his heart. At this moment, Lin Feng made his move as well. Facing Ning Tianyuan's attack, Lin Feng tapped lightly in the void. In an instant, an energy finger was formed. That energy finger flew forward instantly. Then, it pierced through Ning Tianyuan's energy palm. Then, Without any reduction in power, it continued to attack Ning Tianyuan. Ning Tianyuan was horrified. He quickly dodged Lin Feng's attack, but failed to do so. Therefore, Ning Tianyuan had no choice but to block Lin Feng's attack. Ning Tianyuan waved his hand, and a vast ocean world appeared in front of him. That vast ocean world enveloped the world. Although it seemed close, it was actually very far away. Ning Tianyuan wanted to rely on that vast ocean world to block Lin Feng's attack. However, Lin Feng's attack was just too powerful, although it was just a casual tap of a finger. Its power was unimaginably strong. That finger tapped on the vast ocean world instantly. There was a loud bang. The vast ocean world that Ning Tianyuan condensed was also shattered by that energy finger. Ning Lanxin, Tian Xingzi, and Guan Guan were all in disbelief. Ning Tianyuan was so powerful, but in front of Lin Feng, he was so weak. It was unbelievable. Anyone who saw this scene would be shocked. It was not just the three of them who were shocked. Ning Lanxin's guards and the cultivators who came with Ning Tianyuan were all dumbfounded. They could not believe what they were seeing. The combat power that Lin Feng displayed was just too heaven-defying. It made them feel incredulous. After the energy finger that Lin Feng tapped broke the vast ocean world that Ning Tianyuan condensed. Then it hit Ning Tianyuan's body. Ning Ziyuan flew out like a kite with a broken string. His dermic powers were instantly broken by Lin Feng. His body was like a punctured ball. His aura became dispirited. With a thud, dust rose. Ning Tianyuan fell to the ground in a sorry state. No, this is impossible. Ning Tianyuan could not accept what was happening in front of him. He could not help but roar in anger. His eyes had turned blood red. He struggled to get up from the ground, but Ning Tianyuan could only kneel on the ground and could not get up at all. Lin Feng had completely destroyed Ning Tianyuan's dermic powers and martial will, and even caused serious damage to Ning Tianyuan's physical body. Seeing that an expert like Ning Tianyuan was defeated by Lin Feng in one move, Ning Lanxin and Tian Xingzi looked at each other. They could see the deep shock in each other's eyes. Although Ning Tianyuan's cultivation was not as high as the two of them, the difference was not particularly big. However, Ning Tianyuan was so powerful that he could not even block one move from Lin Feng. Wasn't this too unbelievable? No one dared to believe that this was real. Anyone who saw this scene would probably not dare to believe what they saw with their eyes. They would probably think that they were dreaming. However, all of this was real. Guan Guan, on the other hand, was unusually excited. Previously, Guan Guan had been worried about Lin Feng. Now that he saw how powerful Lin Feng was, Guan Guan felt that Lin Feng might really have the strength to fight against an imperial lord. Otherwise, how could he defeat Ning Tianyuan so easily? Other than an imperial lord-level battle prowess, there was definitely no one who could defeat Ning Tianyuan so easily. Who are you? How dare you behave so atrociously in my Ning clan? Do you think that my Ning clan has no one? At this moment, a cold voice resounded between heaven and earth. The void trembled slightly. Chapter 4102. The old man who appeared was one of the great elders' Emperor realm ancestors. His name was Ning Longtian. His pair of cold eyes stared coldly at Lin Feng. Lin Feng acted so recklessly in the Ning family. Wasn't this a slap to their faces? Ning Longtian naturally hated Lin Feng to the core. Said Lin Feng indifferently, "Who I am isn't important. What's important is that you people from the Ning clan don't know the rules. If you hadn't been a member of the Ning clan, you wouldn't have dared act like that in front of me. I would have killed you already." Even in the face of an Emperor realm expert, Lin Feng still had an extremely arrogant attitude. The reason why Lin Feng was so arrogant was naturally not without reason. The biggest reason was that Lin Feng was strong enough and had enough confidence. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so arrogant. Originally, Ning, Lanxin, and Tian, Xingzi thought that Lin Feng was too arrogant at such a young age. Besides, he didn't seem to have any ability other than bragging. However, when they saw Lin Feng injuring Ning Tianyuan with a flick of his finger, they suddenly felt that they weren't wrong. They suddenly realized that Lin Feng wasn't being arrogant. He was just telling the truth. People who didn't know how strong Lin Feng was would think that Lin Feng was being arrogant. If they knew how strong Lin Feng was, they wouldn't think that Lin Feng was being arrogant. On the contrary, they would think that Lin Feng was being reasonable. This was the reality of the world. If one was strong enough, even if one farted, people would say that it was a fart with fragrance. If one wasn't strong enough, even breathing would be wrong. This was the reality, and the reality was cruel and inhumane. Boy, this is the Ning family. Don't be too arrogant. Ning Longtian was enraged by Lin Feng's arrogant attitude. Killing intent flashed in his eyes, as if he wanted to attack. In his opinion, although Lin Feng was very strong and might even have the battle strength of an Emperor Realm expert, he was too young. Even if such a young Lin Feng had the battle strength of an Emperor Realm expert, he probably had to rely on some powerful magical treasures to achieve this level of battle strength. If that was the case, Lin Feng would probably only have the battle strength of an ordinary Emperor Realm expert. After all, the battle strength of an Emperor Realm expert wasn't his own strength. Ning Longtian, on the other hand, was an 8th-layer Emperor Realm expert, a high-level Emperor Realm expert. His strength was unfathomable. His battle strength was at this level. He was definitely an existence that could do whatever he wanted. Therefore, Longtian wanted to deal with Lin Feng. Longtian and this fellow Taoist. It's just a small matter. Why make things so tense? As soon as the voice finished speaking, an old man with a sage-like demeanor stepped out. Ning Lanxin, Guan Guan, Tian Xingzi, and the other cultivators of the Ning family bowed to the old man when they saw him. The old man's identity was not simple. He was the ancestor of the patriarch's bloodline. In the past, he had been the patriarch of the Ning family for 3 million years. Later on, he passed the position to his son and focused on reaching the peak of the martial Tao. Later on, he sealed himself in a stone. Rumor had it that when he was at his peak, his cultivation had already reached the immortal realm. However, he had sealed himself for too long, so his cultivation had dropped. Even though his cultivation had dropped, he still had the strength of a peak Emperor Realm expert. Perhaps if he encountered an opportunity, he could even enter the immortal realm. Among the top experts, the Patriarch's bloodline had far fewer people than the Grand Elder's bloodline. However, the Grand Elder's bloodline did not dare to attack the Patriarch's bloodline. Although there were many reasons, there was one that had to be mentioned, and that reason was the old man in front of them. The emperors of the Grand Elder's bloodline were extremely wary of him. Old Patriarch. When he saw the old man, Ning Longtian bowed to him. "No need for formalities," said the old man. Ning Longtian said, "Old Patriarch, this kid crippled Ning Xuan you outside." Then he heavily injured Ning Tianyuan. "If we don't teach this kid a lesson, our reputation will be tarnished. If that happens, what will happen to our Ning family's reputation?" Ning Longtian was also an old fox. He directly raised the issue of dealing with Lin Feng to the Ning family's reputation. If they did not deal with Lin Feng, it would be a great insult to the Ning family. The old patriarch naturally did not fall for Ning Longtian's trick. He said, "Experts have their dignity. Every expert has their dignity. They should be respected. This fellow Taoist has already shown mercy. We should be thanking this fellow Taoist. Ning Longtian was furious when he heard the old patriarch's words. He naturally knew that the old patriarch was siding with Lin Feng. With the old patriarch's intervention, it was impossible for him to deal with Lin Feng. Ning Longtian viciously glared at Lin Feng, his eyes filled with killing intent. Lin Feng indifferently glanced at Ning Longtian and said, "What's wrong? You old bastard, why are you looking at me like that? Are you courting death? If it wasn't for the old patriarch, I would have killed you in a matter of minutes." Lin Feng's words were quite arrogant. After all, Ning Longtian was not an ordinary person. He was not someone a Saint Emperor could compare to. Ning Longtian was an 8th heavenly layer Emperor Lord, but from Lin Feng's tone, it was as if he could kill Ning Longtian with a snap of his finger. Many people could not help but smile wryly because Lin Feng was too arrogant. Ning Longtian was furious at Lin Feng's disdain and humiliation, but he knew that he could not do anything with the old patriarch here. Ning Longtian temporarily suppressed his anger and killing intent and coldly glared at Lin Feng. "Brat, I won't lower myself to your level for now, but you better pray that you don't fall into my hands." After threatening Lin Feng, he took Ning Tianyuan and left with the cultivators of the Great Elders faction. "This old man is Ning Zhongdao. How should I address you, little friend?" The old patriarch cupped his fists and asked. Ning Lanxin, Tian Xingzi, and Guan Guan were all in a daze. They knew how powerful the old patriarch was, but why did he treat Lin Feng as an equal? It was because the old patriarch recognized Lin Feng's strength. Ordinary sovereign lords were not worthy of the old patriarch's attention. Therefore, at this moment, Ning Lanxin and the others' hearts were filled with shock and disbelief. Ning Lanxin, in particular, found Lin Feng more and more pleasing to the eye. Chapter 40:103. Fellow Taoist, you're too polite. I'm Lin Feng. So it's fellow Taoist Lin. Nice to meet you. Fellow Taoist Lin, you don't look familiar. Where are you from? Ning Zhongdao asked politely. I've crossed the star domain to come for the love of my life, Lin Feng said. Guan Guan's pretty face suddenly turned pink after hearing Lin Feng's words. She was happy and delighted, and also a little shy. After all, the elders were here. However, Lin Feng said it so straightforwardly. However, Guan Guan liked Lin Feng's straightforwardness. In front of her family, any woman would want her man to tell her family that he loved her. No matter how seductive Guan Guan was, she was still a woman. Therefore, Guan Guan naturally hoped that Lin Feng would express his love for her. Ask, which woman would like a man who hid his feelings and didn't dare to say that he loved her in front of her family? There wouldn't be such a woman. Love. She had to express it. Ning Zhongdao's eyes suddenly lit up. Hearing Lin Feng's words, he instantly guessed the relationship between Lin Feng and Guan Guan, and he couldn't help but be extremely surprised. Ning Zhongdao had a feeling that the young man in front of him was definitely an unimaginably terrifying existence. Even he didn't dare to say that he had a 100% chance of winning against this young man. Ning Zhongdao didn't know why he had such an illusion. However, this feeling was so strong, and Ning Zhongdao had always been extremely confident in his feelings. He felt that since he had such a feeling, there must be a reason. Now that the clan leader's bloodline was facing internal and external troubles, if they had a helper like Lin Feng, it would definitely be a great help to the clan leader's bloodline. How about we go inside and talk? Ning Lanxin said with a smile. Okay, Ning Zhongdao nodded, and then said, Fellow Taoist Lin, please. Fellow Taoist Ning, please. Lin Feng also said politely, Everyone entered the room and chatted for a while. The content of the conversation was basically some interesting things that they saw when they were outside. After that, Ning Zhongdao arranged for Lin Feng to stay in Lanxin Garden. It was right next to Guan Guan's residence. In the evening, Ning Zhongdao invited Lin Feng to a banquet. Not many people came, only a dozen or so. They were all the higher-ups of the clan leader's bloodline, including Guan Guan's grandfather, Ning Zongshan. Ning Zongshan looked to be in his 50s. It was said that he had broken through to the Dwarch realm not long ago. Before the banquet, he probably heard about Lin Feng from Ning Zhongdao, so the more he saw Lin Feng, the more he liked him. After the banquet was over, Ning Zhongdao invited Lin Feng for a chat. Ning Zongshan also followed along. Just the three of them. Ning Zhongdao said, "Young friend, have you heard about our Ning clan before coming here?" Lin Feng nodded and said, "Of course I have." Ning Zhongdao sighed and said, "Now that the Ning family is in a precarious situation, the internal strife between the two branches is the result we don't want to see the most. Once there is an internal strife, the losses will be great, and the Ning family will be in danger. I heard that you guys are trying to rope in the elders of the clan to gain their support. The bloodline with the elders' support will win the battle. That way, you should be able to avoid internal strife, right?" Lin Feng said. Ning Zhongdao said, "Fellow cultivator Lin, you don't know. If we compete openly, we won't fear the Grand Elder's bloodline. However, according to the information we received, the Grand Elder's bloodline has already contacted the Xian Dao sect, the Situ clan, the Moron clan, and the Hellion clan to help them deal with our bloodline. Presently, the Grand Elder's line is still discussing the distribution of benefits with the four great clans. Once they finish their discussion, they might choose to attack by force. Our line might be annihilated, and the Ning clan will definitely weaken at that time." Ning Zhongdao said. Ning Zongshan said, hatefully, "These people, for their own selfish desires, they don't even care about the clan's benefits." Lin Feng said, "You guys can contact the other powers." Ning Zongshan said, "We did try to contact the other powers, but no one was willing to help us." Lin Feng couldn't help but roll his eyes and say, "Isn't your bloodline doing too poorly? Why is your relationship with others so bad?" Ning Zongshan smiled bitterly and said, "It's not that our relationship with others is bad. It's just that the other powers don't dare to interfere, because Ning Longtian's uncle is an old ancestor of the Xian domain sect. 1 sect, 3 sects, and 8 clans. The Xian domain sect was the most powerful, so the other powers were naturally afraid of them. I heard that although the Xian domain sect is terrifying, it's not strong enough to crush the other powers, right? Is the Xian domain sect really that powerful?" Lin Feng said in surprise. Ning Zhongdao said, "Fellow Daoist, you might not know this, but the most terrifying thing about the Xian domain sect isn't the cultivators themselves, but the treasure they have." "What treasure?" Lin Feng asked curiously. "The great Heaven Devil Slayer sword. Rumor has it that it's the ultimate treasure of a true immortal. Its power is unimaginable," Ning Zhongdao said. "This treasure is enough to intimidate countless people. Naturally, the other powers won't dare to help us. So that's how it is." Lin Feng nodded and said, "If this continues, the patriarch's bloodline will definitely be destroyed. However, I feel that something is strange. Following the destruction of the patriarch's bloodline, the Ning clan will be destroyed. Even if those people are blinded by greed, they shouldn't want to end up like this, right? There should be some other reason for them to take action, right?" Ning Zhongdao said, "There is indeed another reason. This matter is a secret. It's a big secret of the patriarch's bloodline. However, for some reason, The Grand Elder's bloodline found out about it. That's why they're so crazy as to destroy the patriarch's bloodline. Big secret? What big secret? Lin Feng revealed an extremely surprised expression. Looking at Ning Zhongdao's expression, he knew that this big secret was extremely extraordinary. As if he felt that his words were a little presumptuous, Lin Feng said, "Of course, this is the patriarch's bloodline's secret. It's understandable that you don't want to say it." Ning Zhongdao said, "We'll be a family soon, so I can naturally tell you this secret." Ning Zhongdao's words were obviously trying to tie Lin Feng to the patriarch's bloodline's worship. Lin Feng chose to acquiesce. He naturally had to help the patriarch's bloodline, who asked them to be Guan Guan's family. Seeing that Lin Feng didn't refute, Ning Zhongdao was delighted and said, "The patriarch's bloodline has a mysterious stone that can sense the door of everlasting life through that stone." Chapter 4104. The door of everlasting life was an ancient immortal gate that everyone yearned to see even in their dreams. It could be said that the door of everlasting life was one of the greatest secrets in the world. Immortal scriptures and abilities were easily obtainable after seeing the door. Rumor has it that one could comprehend the secrets of everlasting life. Although existences who had transcended epochs weren't immortal, those who had seen the door and comprehended its secrets were able to become immortal. This was how extraordinary the door was. But how difficult was it to see the door of everlasting life? Since time immemorial, countless cultivators wanted to see the door, but in the end, they couldn't find it at all. In the eyes of many, the door was only a beautiful legend that couldn't be taken seriously. But Lin Feng knew that the door of everlasting life really existed. Some people had seen the door of everlasting life before. Is that stone really that extraordinary? Lin Feng took a deep breath and asked. Ning Zhongdao said, "I've heard that the stone came from the world inside the door of everlasting life. Therefore, the stone is endlessly mysterious and hides great secrets. And those secrets are enough to drive people crazy. Our clan researched it for a long time and still couldn't figure out its secrets. The only thing we know is that we can use the stone to sense the door. However, that's only one of its secrets. There must be an even bigger one. Unfortunately, we can't find out. Did you use that stone to sense the door of everlasting life?" Lin Feng asked. Ning Zhongdao and Ning Zongshan smiled wryly. Ning Zhongdao said, "Maybe our aptitudes are too low, so we can't sense the door." "Is it just a legend?" Lin Feng asked. "Of course not." The two shook their heads. Said Ning Zhongdao, "After our ancestors, there were 3 people who sensed the door of everlasting life. Although the 3 ancestors who sensed the door of everlasting life weren't immortal, they all reached the true immortal realm. You know, it's extremely difficult to enter the hollow immortal realm. Even in the golden age of cultivation, the hollow immortal realm was a terrifying existence, let alone the genuine immortal realm. In the most prosperous era of cultivation, the genuine immortal realm was as rare as phoenix feathers and unicorn horns. Therefore, if you want to enter the true immortal realm, it is impossible without great fortune. Our 3 ancestors all entered the true immortal realm after sensing the door of everlasting life. In fact, according to them, they didn't obtain much fortune. They only sensed the door of everlasting life for a short period of time. However, from then on, it was as if they were blessed with great fortune. Their cultivation speed increased rapidly, and many obscure great Daos were easily comprehended. Perhaps this is why the door is so extraordinary. Ning Zhongdao's words sounded a bit mysterious, but Lin Feng knew that he was telling the truth. The door of everlasting life was truly extraordinary. He had to admit that. Lin Feng asked, "Can you take me to see the stone?" "Of course," Ning Zhongdao said. Then he changed the topic and said, "But we need to make some preparations before going to see the stone. The stone has already formed a spirit, so we need to go see it first. Can we wait until tomorrow to see the stone?" "Of course, no problem," said Lin Feng, nodding. After chatting for a while, Lin Feng left. He returned to his residence and saw a female cultivator standing in the courtyard. The silver moonlight shone down on her, making her look as beautiful as a fairy from the Moon Palace. Lin Feng quickly walked over and pulled her into his arms. "I heard that the ancestor called you over. Did he talk to you about the Ning clan?" Guan Guan asked. Lin Feng said, "He did." Guan Guan rubbed her head against Lin Feng's chest and said, "Don't feel troubled because of me. I'll support you no matter what choice you make." Lin Feng rubbed Guan Guan's beautiful face and said, "Your matters are my matters. The Ning clan's matters are my matters. If anyone dares to bully you, I'll skin them alive." Guan Guan felt very sweet when she heard Lin Feng's domineering declaration. That night was destined to be a sleepless night for Lin Feng and Guan Guan. After being separated for so many years, they naturally had a lot to talk about when they met again. The next day, Ning Zhongdao came to Lin Feng and asked with a smile, "Fellow Taoist Lin, did you sleep well last night?" Lin Feng smiled and said, "Everything's fine. Thank you for your concern. Fellow Taoist Ning." Ning Zhongdao said, "I went to see the divine stone yesterday and told it about you. If fellow Taoist Lin doesn't have anything else to do, let's go see the divine stone now." "No problem." Lin Feng nodded. He really couldn't wait to see the divine stone now. He wanted to see how magical the god's stone was. Under Ning Zhongdao's lead, Lin Feng came to a mansion in the depths of the Ning clan. Ning Zhongdao said, "This is where I go into seclusion." Lin Feng nodded. Ning Zhongdao took Lin Feng to the palace where he was meditating in seclusion. There were many palaces there. There were a total of 18 palaces. Lin Feng entered the palace in the deepest part. Then Ning Zhongdao activated a mechanism, and an 8 trigrams array appeared on the floor in the middle of the palace. Then the floor with the 8 trigrams array imprinted on it sunk down, and a passage leading to the underground appeared in Lin Feng's line of sight. Ning Zhongdao said, "Fellow Taoist Lin, please." Lin Feng said politely, "Fellow Taoist Ning, please." Ning Zhongdao led the way in front, and Lin Feng followed behind him. The two entered the underground secret room, one after the other. The underground secret room was very large, and there was a 3-meter-tall stone in the middle of the room. This stone had an irregular distribution, and the entire stone was greenish-gray in color. This stone looked quite ordinary from the outside, and was no different from the greenish-gray stones that could be seen everywhere. However, those who knew about this stone knew how frightening its origin was. Anyone who knew the origin of this stone and its use would be shocked. Chapter 40, 105. The voice belonged to the stone's spirit. It looked like an ordinary stone, but it had its own spirit. Lin Feng already knew that the stone had its own spirit. Therefore, it was not strange to hear the stone speak. "All right, you guys take your time," Ning Zhongdao said, and left the secret chamber. Only Lin Feng and the divine stone were left in the secret chamber. "I heard that you got the best woman in the Ning clan. Kid, you're really something," the stone said. When Lin Feng heard that guy, he couldn't help but roll his eyes. Lin Feng felt that the stone's words were so despicable. "Let's change the topic," Lin Feng said. The divine stone said, "Why change the topic? I like this topic. Back in the day, I was also a distinguished and elegant existence. Who knows how many fairies and goddesses admired me? The stone was very narcissistic. It was unknown whether it was speaking the truth or bragging. Now, Lin Feng was sure that the spirit of the godly stone wasn't a normal person. Said Lin Feng angrily, "Come on, stop bragging and bragging. Who would admire a piece of rock?" The stone said, "What do you know? You don't know anything about my history." Lin Feng pursed his lips and said, "Maybe you can tell me. If you tell me, I'll understand." "If you want me to tell you, I'll tell you." "That's impossible. This is the secret in my heart. Let the most beautiful years of my life be buried in my heart forever." The stone said narcissistically. After hearing the stone's words, Lin Feng really had the urge to slap the stone. The stone continued, "Let's talk about your purpose here. What do you want to do? To comprehend the door of everlasting life?" "Nonsense. Why would I come here if I don't want to comprehend the door of everlasting life?" Lin Feng was speechless. Of course, he did not say that out loud. Otherwise, he would definitely annoy the stone. Lin Feng said, "Yes, I'm here to comprehend the door of everlasting life. With your talent, I'm afraid it's not possible. It's better to give up now. I've seen many people with greater talent than you, yet they still couldn't sense the door of everlasting life, let alone you." The divine stone continued. Now, not only did Lin Feng want to beat this guy to death, he even wanted to smash this guy into pieces. This guy, it was definitely intentional. What a wretched guy. He took attacking others as his own pleasure. Of course, Lin Feng did not agree with this guy's words. In the myriad worlds, Lin Feng believed that there were not many people who could compare with him in terms of talent. As for those who were more talented than him, it was even rarer. Lin Feng said, "If you don't try, how do you know you can't sense it? Sometimes it depends on luck. Some people are very talented, but if they don't have luck, they might fail in the end. However, some people are not talented enough, but if they have luck, they might succeed. Since you insist, I'll give you a chance. Sit cross-legged in front of the divine stone. I'll try to pull you into a space-time. If you want to comprehend the door of everlasting life, the first step is to enter that space-time. Only then can you sense the door of everlasting life. I can tell you without hesitation that 90% of those who try to sense the door of everlasting life fail. Even with my help, their consciousness can't enter that space-time." The divine stone said. Lin Feng did not say anything. He followed the divine stone's instructions, sat cross-legged in front of the divine stone, and closed his eyes. Next, Lin Feng tried his best to enter a state of enlightenment. Not long after, he felt a unique power that seemed to want to pull Lin Feng into a mysterious world. The divine stone's voice echoed in Lin Feng's mind. "Relax completely. Just like the first time your primordial spirit left your body, let your primordial spirit comprehend the world." Lin Feng tried his best to relax. As time passed, Lin Feng had the feeling that there was some kind of strength which was pulling his body into a mysterious world. Lin Feng drifted along with the force. Finally, Lin Feng found himself in a mysterious world. Lin Feng was overjoyed. His godly awareness had probably entered the world the godly stone had told him about. A huge divine stone flew over from afar. It was the divine stone that Lin Feng saw outside. The divine stone did not say anything. It just floated in front of Lin Feng. Lin Feng sat cross-legged, trying to sense the aura of the great Tao from the divine stone. Lin Feng suddenly heard countless voices, all of which rushed into his mind. Among those sounds, there were earth-shaking battle cries, roars of unwillingness before death, screams of pain, and so on. There were all kinds of voices. After hearing those voices, Lin Feng felt like his head was about to split open. Fortunately, Lin Feng's soul was strong enough. Lin Feng had successfully overcome the feeling that his head was going to explode. Lin Feng continued to comprehend the divine stone. After an unknown amount of time, Lin Feng suddenly heard someone speaking in his ear. "What kind of Tao do you want to comprehend?" The voice asked. "The Tao of eternal life." Lin Feng said, "The Tao of eternal life is just a legend. Change to a more practical Tao." The voice said again, "Why is it a legend? I think it's real. Since people can live forever, they can live forever." Lin Feng said, "Living forever is easy, but living forever is difficult. No, to be precise, no one can live forever." The voice continued, "I want to live forever." Lin Feng replied, "There is no Tao of eternal life in this world. If you insist on being stubborn, you might not be able to comprehend anything." The voice continued, "Is that so? If I can't comprehend anything, then I'll accept it." Lin Feng replied indifferently, "Apart from the Tao of eternal life, I have no interest in any other Tao." Lin Feng was very persistent. He wanted to comprehend the Tao of eternal life. The voice disappeared. After an unknown amount of time, Lin Feng suddenly felt his surroundings become brighter. He opened his eyes and saw that the originally dim space was becoming more and more dazzling. Could it be? Lin Feng couldn't help but take a deep breath. Then he thought of a possibility. Could the door of eternal life be appearing? Rumble, 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 rumble. Not long after, Lin Feng saw it was a gigantic stone gate that was hundreds of thousands of meters tall and hundreds of thousands of meters wide. Chapter 4106. The Door of Everlasting Life. When Lin Feng saw the huge stone door, his face was filled with shock. The door of everlasting life was simply too big. He tried to fly towards the stone door. However, no matter how fast Lin Feng was, no matter how Lin Feng tried to get close to the stone door, he was still unable to reach it. The stone door was extremely far away from Lin Feng. It was as far away as the ends of the earth. Lin Feng frowned. He realized that there was a problem. He seemed to be unable to get close to the stone door. The door of everlasting life isn't real. It's just an illusion. I can't even get close to the illusory door of everlasting life. Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter to himself. This made him feel a little regretful. He wanted to get close to the door of everlasting life, but no matter how many times he tried, he still couldn't get close. In the end, Lin Feng could only choose to give up. Lin Feng felt that perhaps he could imprint the image of the door of everlasting life. This was a type of Tao. This was a type of invincible Tao. If he could imprint the image of the door of everlasting life, he could directly summon it to fight against his enemies. This was definitely a heaven-defying method. Lin Feng tried to imprint the image of the door of everlasting life in his mind. But Lin Feng realized that there was some kind of invisible and intangible strength which was preventing him from doing so. No matter how hard Lin Feng tried, no matter how hard he tried, it felt like something was missing. This made Lin Feng a little depressed. In fact, Lin Feng also knew that imprinting the image of the door of everlasting life in his mind was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Since ancient times, countless cultivators had tried to do so. However, those who succeeded were probably as rare as phoenix feathers and qilin horns. Lin Feng was never one to give up. He kept recalling the image of the door of everlasting life in his mind. How tall was it? How wide was it? At the same time, Lin Feng activated the true word of Lin. This divine ability could help Lin Feng comprehend the Tao. The true word of Lin had indeed played an extremely crucial role in Lin Feng's enlightenment. As time passed, Lin Feng could sense that there was a mysterious connection between him and the door of everlasting life and himself. This connection was very subtle. Lin Feng even felt that he could see some of the ancient runes on the door of everlasting life. Those runes were unfathomably mysterious. Those runes were ancient and powerful. Lin Feng tried to comprehend the runes, but they were too profound. When Lin Feng tried to comprehend the runes, he felt an incomparable pain in his head. His head felt like it was about to split open. Lin Feng knew the current him was still unable to comprehend those runes. There were many Daos that couldn't be comprehended just because one wanted to. Some Daos had restrictions on a cultivator's cultivation. When one's cultivation wasn't high enough, it was impossible to comprehend those Daos. If one tried to forcefully comprehend those Daos without being able to do so, the final result would be to hurt oneself. There were too many examples in the world of cultivators of suffering a backlash after comprehending the Tao. Lin Feng was no longer obsessed with comprehending the mysterious runes on the door of everlasting life. Just like before, he tried to imprint the appearance of the door of everlasting life into his mind. Actually, if what Lin Feng saw was the real door of everlasting life, it would naturally be much easier to imprint the image of the door of everlasting life. But the key was that what Lin Feng saw was an illusory door of everlasting life. It was an unreal door of everlasting life. Therefore, it became much more difficult to imprint the image of the door of everlasting life. But fortunately, Lin Feng's comprehension was extraordinary. As time passed, the image of the door of everlasting life was gradually imprinted in Lin Feng's mind. It was unknown how much time had passed. Lin Feng had completely imprinted the image of the door of everlasting life. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Lin Feng heard an earth-shaking sound. He opened his eyes and immediately discovered that the enormous door of everlasting life was rapidly dissipating. Not long after, the gigantic door of everlasting life had completely disappeared. Lin Feng's consciousness retreated from the mysterious space. His consciousness returned to his body. Lin Feng found himself still sitting cross-legged in front of the divine stone. You seem to have comprehended something. What did you comprehend? Immortal Sutra? Divine ability? Or even where the door of everlasting life might appear? The divine stone asked. This guy had always been talkative. Lin Feng said, I comprehended the Tao of everlasting life. What? Is this true? The divine stone couldn't help but exclaim. But then it shouted, You're lying. How could you possibly comprehend the Tao of everlasting life? That's impossible. It might seem impossible to you, but to me, it's extremely easy. Lin Feng curled his lips. Kid, stop bragging. At the very least, you'll need to cultivate to the true immortal realm before you can comprehend the Tao of everlasting life. Before it could finish the word Tao, the divine stone hurriedly shut up. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. The divine stone was indeed dishonest. It never spoke the truth. It had previously told Lin Feng that there was no Tao of everlasting life. But now it had spilled the beans. Only those who had cultivated to the true immortal realm were qualified to comprehend the Tao of everlasting life. What did that mean? It meant that there really was a Tao of everlasting life in this world. A smile appeared on Lin Feng's face. If there really was a Tao of everlasting life in this world, then one day in the future, he would have a chance to try to comprehend it. Lin Feng had always been this confident in himself. There's something I'm very curious about. I wonder if you can answer it for me? Lin Feng asked. The divine stone said, You'll have to tell me what it is first, and it'll also depend on my mood. If I'm in a good mood, perhaps I can give you a pointer or two. Lin Feng said, "It's like this. I want to know what kind of world is inside the door of everlasting life." "You're asking me, but who am I supposed to ask?" The divine stone said. There was a hint of wariness in its tone. It was guarding against Lin Feng, as if he was a thief. Lin Feng said, "Aren't you a treasure that came from the world inside the door of everlasting life? That's why I think you should know something about that world. Since you're denying it, is it because you don't want to tell me? You can state a condition. As long as you tell me about that world, no matter what request you make, as long as it's within my ability, I'll fulfill it. How about it?